This is New York Yankees baseball, and this is Bombers Game Mic. I'm Paul DiCostanzo here on an absolutely brilliant Thursday afternoon in the New York City area. The sun is shining, it is warm, it is the complete opposite of the monsoon that hit Yankee Stadium last night. And it is a perfect day for early May baseball in this third game of a three-game set against the Texas Rangers. It is the rubber match between these two teams. And after today's game, the Yankees will be hitting the road, and they will be heading on out to Milwaukee, where there's going to be a very interesting, somewhat surprise waiting for them on Friday night, with Misiorowski apparently projected to start for the Brewers on Friday night at what they call American Family Park, but will always be Miller Park. I've been to Miller Park a number of times. It's actually a really cool stadium. I always loved it. But today, the Yankees are in something of an interesting situation. So their winning streak got snapped last night when they lost to the Rangers 6-1. Nathan Eovaldi had the Yankees offense's number all night, and it was never particularly close after that. And ultimately, it was going to end. We all knew it was going to end eventually. But now the real question becomes, how are the Yankees going to pull out here in this third game of a three-game set to go ahead and win the series on an afternoon, a businessman special getaway in the Bronx today? Well, that is a fantastic question. Well, originally, Ryan Weathers was supposed to start this game for the Yankees, but he has been suffering from a pretty bad virus, and according to the Post, he lost 9 pounds throughout that experience. So they're not going to throw him out there today. They're going to wait for him to recover. And so we have an opener for the Yankees by way of Paul Blackburn, who's having a much better 2026 so far than he had 2025. He is the opener, and he's going up against MacKenzie Gore, the hard-throwing left-hander who's been very up and down. He is very much a strikeout pitcher, though. But he has an ERA in the high fours and a 2-2 record. But we'll see what happens tonight. So let me give you the Rangers starting lineup for our game today. Leading off is Brandon Nimmo at DH. Duran is in left field, batting second. Corey Seager's back at short, batting third. Young is batting third, playing third at the cleanup spot. Pedersen is in right field, batting fifth. Berger, the first baseman, is batting sixth. Carter is in center, batting seventh. Jansen is batting eighth, the catcher. And Foscue, the second baseman, is batting ninth for the Texas Rangers. Now, for the Yankees lineup here today. And unfortunately, still no Ben Rice. So leading off is the first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, followed in the two-hole by Aaron Judge, who's the DH today. Bellinger is batting third. He's moving over to right. Ahmed Rosario playing third base against the lefty MacKenzie Gore. Jazz Chisholm in second. At second, I should say, batting fifth. Jason Dominguez now out in left field. He is batting seventh. Trent Grisham, the center fielder, he's batting seventh. Schumann at shortstop, giving Caballero a day to recover after getting plunked on the funny bone last night. He's at short, batting eighth. And the backup catcher, J.C. Ascara, is batting ninth for the Bombers. So, that is interesting. And right now, the big thing where it all comes together for the Yankees today, of course, is how is Paul Blackburn going to start? How's he going to do? As an opener, and I'm going to put this in the chat, and if you are watching and you feel like responding, I'm curious, what do you think is going to be Blackburn's line today as the spot opener. What do you want from him? What should we expect? I know it's never a good thing when you have an opener like this, but I'll tell you what, last night, it could have gotten really nasty for the Yankees bullpen getting totally destroyed because Will Warren, he got shellacked, right? The Rangers offense was all over him like basically like a crow on curly fries. It wasn't pretty, even though he has pitched generally so well this year so far. And you have to give him credit for that. However, De Los Santos, who actually got optioned back down to AAA after the game, managed to come in and throw 3 1/3 inning of scoreless ball. 5 strikeouts in that time. He had a tough 6th inning, but he got out of it unscathed. And then, of course, Ryan Yarborough picked up the baton from there and kept the Rangers' offense quiet for the remainder of the night. So they didn't have to totally destroy their bullpen, now in a situation where they need an opener. So really the question is, what do you want from Paul Blackburn today? What do you realistically expect from Paul Blackburn today? It's a tough question, and it's hard to know. But I can tell you this. The Yankees, they're at home. They are in a much better situation weather-wise today. And MacKenzie Gore can be hit. His 2026 campaign has most definitely shown us all that so far. And the question will be, with a shortened Yankee lineup, can they make something of it? Because we don't have Ben Rice. Ben Rice is still apparently day-to-day. I don't know what the plan is there in regards to him potentially going on the shelf, but it doesn't look particularly promising at the moment. But the truth of the matter is, guys, we just don't know. We just don't know right now. And we will see. Hopefully he doesn't go on the bench. Now, luckily, Paul Goldschmidt, a former MVP and all-world first baseman defensively, is a pretty fine short-term substitute. He is not the Paul Goldschmidt of years past. We know that. This is probably his last season, if I were to guess. But for the time being, missing, one of the best left-handed hitters in the game right now in Ben Rice, they're going to have to make do. And it is really amazing how much shorter this lineup is without Ben Rice and Giancarlo Stanton. The Yankees really need some guys to step up and do some big hitting here. There's no other way to put that. I have a lot greater expectations for the production offensively of Jazz Chisholm, who's been, very hot and cold continuously. On top of that, obviously, Austin Wells getting the day off with a day game after a night game, and Higashioka is dealing the same thing there. But, for all that it's worth, the Yankees most certainly can come away on getaway day here. This businessman special, as they like to call it in the game. And Paul Blackburn is now stepping onto the mound. And he is giving his warm-up tosses here and getting ready for this spot opener. And obviously looking on in, Brandon Nimmo is going to be the leadoff hitter here tonight. Here's the first pitch. Grounded foul down the first base side and out of play. And the count is now 0-1 to Brandon Nimmo. Once again, the DH here. The left-handed hitter so far batting .293, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. Blackburn deals. Just missed outside a cutter to the left-handed hitting Nimmo. And the count is now 1-1. It is an absolutely Chamber of Commerce day at Yankee Stadium. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball just missed on the outside corner, a little above the knees to the left-handed Nimmo. And the count is now 2-1. So, last night, the Rangers, when Warren was on the mound, looked almost unstoppable. But after that, no dice. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fastball up and away, a cutter up and away and out of the zone. And the count is now 3-1 to Brandon Nimmo. And the last thing Blackburn wants to do here is put the leadoff man on via walk. Here's a 3-1 pitch. Fouled down the first base side and out of play. And the count is now full 3-2 to Brandon Nimmo. It is the top of the first inning here at Yankee Stadium on this rubber match this afternoon. Blackburn comes set at the belt. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Fouled down the first base side. Down the third base side and out of play. And the count remains 3-2. But no, this is a brilliant day for baseball, folks. So much better than last night. Last night was a friggin' nightmare. Not just how the Yankee played, but the weather. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Fouled down the third base side and out of play. And the count remains 3-2. So 7 pitches so far here to Nimmo, the leadoff man for Texas this afternoon. And, you know, I give credit to Texas. They are something of a chippy team. They can play the Yankees quite hard. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Hit to left field. Going back is Dominguez. He's at the track at the wall, and he makes the catch, crashing against the wall for an amazing out. But it looks like he is hit the wall exceptionally hard. He is not moving on the warning track. Trent Grisham is over there giving him a look. He is barely moving. I do believe he is conscious. Running out is Aaron Boone and the whole training staff, because he went crashing into the left field wall with the LED display to catch that first out. An amazing out by any measure you can possibly imagine. But my goodness, did he get his bell rung like that? And right now, you have flashes of Clint Frazier at the moment. These are some really serious things. Any sort of potential head injury, any sort of injury to the central nervous system is a serious thing. And right now, he is not moving very much. He got trucked on that thing. Oh my goodness. The training staff is out there. He's still not moving very much. His head has moved around. He's moving his extremities a bit. They're definitely checking his extremities, his arms, and his legs for sensation and movement to make sure that there is not a serious injury to the spinal column. But I get the feeling here, and I hate to say this, going off on this beautiful first, third of a 3-game set rubber match, we could see him carted off the field in an ambulance here at the moment. Right now, though, he is moving his legs, and he is largely starting to get up on his own power, but there is no way you can imagine he will stay in this game. Absolutely not. He's also grabbing his left shoulder there a bit, seeing what's going on. Luckily, we're not looking at, a Joe Theismann or Joe Theismann kind of situation, thank God. But you can't help but think about Clint Frazier and how such a talented young man with so much potential. And in this case, Jason Dominguez is only 23 years old. And he's been having a wonderful season, both in spring training, down in AAA. He had an amazing day this weekend. Like 3 for 5 with a home run, 4 RBIs or something like that. This is the last thing you want to see. So you have every reason to believe he will be removed for precautionary purposes at this point. They're doing a lot of diagnostic stuff to make sure he's able to move his arms and his legs and he has proper sensation. Based on what we can see on the feed from Yes, he is showing all of that. But he, at the very least, got his bell severely wrong. I don't know how he would remain in this game. In this day and age, they don't play around with this, and nor should they. So you have to imagine, right now we're all looking and waiting and holding our breath, not just because he is such a great and promising player, but because this guy looks like he got legitimately injured. No different than any other of us. So, keep him in your thoughts here. We keep our fingers crossed. We hold our breath that he is at the very least all right. He is up on his feet. Undoubtedly, they'll be giving them a hand, and the Yankee Stadium crowd is up on their feet, giving him a hand standing up there. But let's put it this way. If I was the MD, if I'm the training staff here, I don't think you really need a medical degree to figure out what exactly here is going on. And yes, I do respond to the chat. I apologize. It's just Jason Dominguez is getting carted off the field right now, and some things take priority, my friend. But I do thank you for chiming in. Anyway, here, so the game is obviously delayed here at the moment. It's 1 out thanks to his incredible catch, but at what a price. At what a price. So what are we to do? We sit here, we wait, and we hope that he'll be all right. And he's in the medical golf cart. You know, he's not on a stretcher. That's good news. No question about it. But he is definitely being removed from this game right now. And that's where the focus is. That's the reason I haven't been paying that much attention to the chat at the moment. So let's keep our fingers crossed, keep him in our thoughts. He made an incredible catch, but boy, he went into that wall basically in full extension up trying to get that thing. It was an out. It wasn't a pretty one. It was an amazing play, but at what cost? At what cost? You just can't help but think of Clint Frazier. I just can't. You know, those are things you don't let go of that easily when you see them. And, you know, here we are, folks. Here we are. So we're waiting for the game to resume here, obviously. 1 out in the top of the first inning. That out on that amazing catch that really, really messed him up. So we'll see what happens here. Obviously, there's going to be a replacement. Maybe they'll shuffle some guys around here. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to choose to do. But whatever the case is, our fingers are crossed. So let's see what's happening here. There's definitely going to be some kind of adjustment. Alrighty. All right, Bellinger has moved over to left, Rosario has moved over to right, and McMahon is now in at third base. So Rosario had been at third base, they moved him to right. Bellinger had been in right field with Judge DHing today. He moves over to left. And right now, Blackburn is just getting some warm-up tosses, so he's not totally cold for when this game resumes. Got J.C. Escarra behind the plate, giving Austin Wells the day off after, with a day game after a night game. Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. Now, here's Ezekiel Duran, the 2-hitter. He's been playing in left, 303 with a home run this season. And here's the first pitch from Blackburn. Down and away, a breaking ball away from the right-handed hitting Duran. And the count is now 1-0 to Duran. Blackburn is moving quick. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swinging foul down the first base side and out of play. And the count is now 1-1 to Duran. And once again, I'm going to get it out of the way early on. Duran. It's over. Okay, here's the second pitch. Foul back and out of play. A four-seam fastball out over the outside corner. Going down the first base side, and the count is now 1-2 to Duran. Blackburn has had decent control to some extent. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Duran. Duran gets back into the box, digs back in. Blackburn from the stretch sets at the belt. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Just missed down and away, a sweeper, 84 miles per hour, down and away right at the knees. Almost looked like it hit the black. Nobody is challenging that. And the count is 2-2 to Duran. Blackburn comes set. The pitch. Up and a sweeper that didn't exactly sweep that much. And the count is now 3-2 to Duran. Coming set once again is Blackburn. He has the sign. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Inside, ball 4, missed the zone on a sinker, 95 miles per hour. And Duran will take first. So, the Rangers have a runner on first, 1 out here in the top of the first inning. And apparently, Brock Bayou is rather hitter-friendly according to the graphic from Yes. Who would have thunk it, folks? Who would have thunk it? Now, here's Corey Seager, the left-handed hitter, the shortstop today, batting third. Here's the first pitch. Swinging strike, swung right over that changeup, out and away from the left-handed hitting Seager. And the count is 0-1. Corey Seager, 214, 17 home runs, 19 RBIs. One of those home runs came last night. A 350-foot bomb to right field. Blackburn comes set. The 0-1 pitch. Changeup up and away out of the zone. And the count is now 1-1 to Corey Seager. So we got Duran on first after the one-out walk here. Blackburn has the sign. He comes set. He holds. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Out and away, a sinker nowhere close to the zone, largely out over the righty's right-handed hitting batter's box. And the count is 2-1 to Corey Seager. Coming set is Blackburn. Leading off first is Duran. Blackburn throws over to first. Duran gets back quite easily. And, of course, right now we have Paul Goldschmidt holding things down at first with the absence of Ben Rice, who's still day-to-day with that hand contusion. Blackburn comes set with a 2-1 pitch. Swinging strike, throwing down to second, and he is out. Duran attempts to steal second, and J.C. Ascara manages to throw him out. He took off. He had a very good jump. Ascara gets it out there on a bounce. Schumann at short manages to haul it in and gets Duran on the left arm as he's going into second base. So that'll be the second out of the inning, and that erases the base runner. For Texas, we have 2 outs here, and I believe it is currently a 2-2 count. I believe that was called a strike. Indeed it was. Now, here's the 2-2 pitch. Up and away, a cutter out and away over the zone, and the count is now 3-2. Coming set is Blackburn. 2 outs and nobody on. Here's a 3-2 pitch to Seager. That's ball 4 on a curveball out and away, and once again over the right-handed hitting batter's box. So he will take his base. And now Texas has a runner on first with 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. 2 outs here have come, the first one off of that Jason Dominguez catch, which was utterly ridiculous and devastating, as well as throwing out Duran at second. Now here's the first pitch to Young. He is hit by the pitch, and now they have runners on first and second with 2 out here in the top of the first inning. He just plucked him. He just plucked Young there. So runners on first and second, 2 out. Blackburn hasn't been great. Well, not that anyone is terribly surprised by this, but it's a revelation all the same. Now stepping in is Jock Pedersen, the 5-hitter. Blackburn, 21 pitches this inning. Lefty Pedersen is into the box. First and second, 2 out. Top of the first, no score. Now here's the first to Pedersen. Down and in a cutter, not particularly close to the zone. And the count is now 1-0 to the lefty Pedersen. So, right here, Blackburn would really like to get out of this, especially since he is the opener, and a spot opener at that. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Down and away, a curveball. Once again, nowhere near the zone. And the count is 2-0 to the lefty Pedersen. They have 2 ducks on the pond at the moment. And boy, does Blackburn want to get out of this one here. He comes set at the belt. Now here's the 2-0 pitch. Grounded to the right side, fielded by Jazz Chisholm on a pair of hops, throws to first in time for the third and final out of the inning. So they leave a couple of runners on, but the Yankees are the ones that are experiencing the real damage here with the apparent injury to Jason Dominguez catching that first out and crashing against the left center field wall against the LED display. He was largely carted off the field, not in a stretcher, but he did not look good. So we'll await news and we'll see what we get here, folks. I mean, that's scary stuff. That's really scary stuff. I don't know how else to put it. It's definitely what one would call a very human concern, all right? Because in those kind of situations, baseball falls away. It absolutely falls away, and you can't expect otherwise. So we're going to the bottom of the first inning. The Rangers, nothing, and the Yankees coming to bat here on Bombers Game Mic. Oh. Well, whatever the case may be, we get to see MacKenzie Gore, but to remind you, Goldschmidt leading off, Judge hitting second at DH, Bellinger in left batting third, Rosario in right batting fourth, Chisholm at second batting fifth, McMahon batting third, batting sixth, Trent Grisham batting seventh in center, Max Schumann batting eighth at shortstop, and the backup catcher, J.C. Escarra, the catching and batting ninth today for the Bombers. Now, here's MacKenzie Gore, 7 starts, 2-2, a 4.67 ERA, over 34 and 2/3 innings pitched, giving up 15 home runs, 18 walks, 45 strikeouts, and opponents are batting .223 for him in this 2026 campaign. And he came over by trade, I believe, from the Nationals in the offseason. I believe the Yankees even had interest in him going into this particular season and hoping to acquire him. They ended up obviously getting Ryan Weathers and going in a different direction. Now, here's the first pitch from Gore. Hit to the right side in a high fly ball to right center field. Going back is the right fielder, and it's off the base of the wall, and it caroms far and back into center field. Rounding second is Goldschmidt. He is going to third, and he has a leadoff stand-up triple. Is Paul Goldschmidt here in the bottom of the first inning. Oh, my goodness. He hit a long fly ball. It was just out of reach there in right field of Duran. It hits the base of the wall, and then it just absolutely shoots out into center field. They have to chase that thing no less than 20 feet before they're able to pick it up, and by the time they do, Goldschmidt is halfway between second and third. Oh, that is definitely the way you want to start it out after last night. Paul Goldschmidt with the leadoff triple here in the bottom of the first inning. So now here's the reigning AL MVP, Aaron Judge. MacKenzie Gore definitely showing some flaws here. Aaron Judge, 273, 15 home runs, 28 RBIs, a 1066 OPS. I believe those 15 home runs lead Major League Baseball at the moment. From the stretch is the lefty Gore. And the pitch. Up and away, a curveball nowhere near the zone. And the count is 1-0 to the Yankee captain, who is stepping into the box. He had a fine night last night. There's really no question about that. Runner at third, nobody out. 1-0 count to Judge. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. And the count is 1-1 to Aaron Judge. And MacKenzie Gore has actually only thrown 3 pitches, and he's already in a bunch of trouble. Up in the pen is the righty Beck getting hot, so Paul Blackburn's probably not long for this game. He threw near 30 pitches in that first inning. Gore comes set from the stretch. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Up and in a four-seam fastball and out of the zone, 93 miles per hour. The count is 2-1 to the Yankee captain, who was responsible for the Yankees' only offense last night on that solo home run to right center field off of Nathan Eovaldi, the perennial Yankee killer. Thank God he isn't on the mound today. Gore comes set at the chest. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fouled straight back on that one. Did Judge. It was actually landed middle. And sometimes major league hitters, right, when they get it middle, they're almost not expecting it, and he filed it right back, so you know he just missed it, and Aaron Judge is probably just slightly annoyed with himself at the moment. Gore looks in for the sign. He comes set at the chest. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Hit to the third base side and stabbed by the third baseman on the fly for the first out of the inning. So Judge hit it well on a line. It was simply just an excellent play down there at third for the first out of the inning. So hitting into a little bad luck there is the Yankee captain. So now the Yankees have a runner on third with 1 out. And yeah, you just saw that, and that is all reaction time right there. All reaction time. Really just quite incredible. And the exit velo on that thing apparently was 105.3. Now, here's a three-hitter, Cody Bellinger, who is now playing his usual position left. Here's the first pitch. Slider strike, outside corner, about thigh high to the lefty Bellinger. And the count is 0-1. He's hitting .285 with 5 home runs and 26 RBIs and .888 OPS. The infield shaded slightly to the right and playing even with bag. Here's the pitch. Hit to right field, and it is down, and it goes all the way to the wall. Duran boots it. He has to go all the way to the track. He picks it up. Coming around second is Bellinger. He goes to third, and this is the second stand-up triple here this afternoon for the Yankees, and it is now 1-0 Bombers. Ho, 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 ho. Oh, what a swing. He just dropped the barrel on that thing. It was down and in. He knew exactly what to do with it. Duran boots the friggin' thing. He had to play it on a hop. He misjudged it. He thought he could get it low on the fly. It then went flying past him, went right to the wall, carrying towards the center field direction. He picks it up, and it's over from there. Strike, outside corner, four-seam fastball to the right-handed hitting Rosario, who's now playing right. .267 with 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, and .830 OPS so far for the part-time third baseman, except for today. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. And the count is now 0-2. Duran in left. Correction, Pedersen was the one in right who made the error. Duran in left, Carter in center, Pedersen in right, Young at third, Seager at short, Foscue at second, Berger at first, Nemo at DH, Jansen behind the plate, and of course, MacKenzie Gore on the mound. It is an 0-2 count to the righty Rosario. Here's the pitch. Foul down the right field side and out of play on a curveball in on the hands, and the count remains 0-2 to Ahmed Rosario. And right now, since MacKenzie Gore is a left-handed pitcher, these are the traditional days that Rosario would find himself in the lineup. That's the platoon that Aaron Boone this season really likes to play. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. And the count remains 0-2. So 1-0 Bombers here with 1 out. In the bottom of the first inning, they're looking to add on to it. The Rangers are playing in and largely even with the bag. They want to be able to cut down Bellinger on anything straight to them. They're not playing games this afternoon, folks. They are not resting. Here's the 0-2 pitch. In the dirt, curveball and well out of the zone. And the count is now 1-2 to Rosario. Yeah, anything right to him playing in like that, they want to see if they can cut him down at the plate. However, when you play your defense in like that, the likelihood that it gets past the infield does, in fact, increase in most cases. Now, Gore comes set. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play on a four-seam fastball out and away at 95 miles per hour. And the count remains 1-2. That's where we are, folks. That's where we are. Yes, indeed. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in the chat. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Rosario for the second out of the inning. That was not a pretty pitch. That thing was well out and away. If you look it out here on the replay, it looked like a failed breaking ball that was basically out over the left-handed hitting batter's box for strike 3. Now, here's Jazz Chisholm for his first at-bat this afternoon, the left-handed hitter. So we have 2 outs here, a runner on third in the bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Bombers. Jazz Chisholm at the plate, and here's the first pitch. Four-seamer down and away, check swing. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the third baseline. And the count is 1-0 to the Yankee second baseman, who's stepping in. He's been very up and down, though his offense overall has been improving over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Now, the 1-0 from Gore. Slider strike, outside corner about thigh high to the lefty Chisholm. And the count is 1-1. Yes, 2 triples this evening. Yeah, first time since April 22nd, 2015, according to Yes. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Slider strike, outside corner, above the knees to the lefty Chisholm. And the count is now 1-2. 18 pitches for Gore in this inning. Jazz is now having to play a little bit of defense here at the plate in the hole 1-2. Gore comes set at the chest. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, says the home plate umpire, and that'll be the third out of the inning. But the Yankees do get their first run on the board in the bottom of the first inning. We go to the top of the second. It's 1-0 Bombers. It is a beautiful Thursday afternoon at Yankee Stadium for Yankee baseball. I'm Paul D, and I'd like to thank you for joining me here for Bombers Game Mike. It's sometimes it is hard to call a game when you're still keeping in the back of your mind what happened to Jason Dominguez. In fact, if you're watching this thing right now and you're tuned in and you're interested in joining the chat, if you do get any update, because it's not as easy for me to get it for certain technical reasons as to what they believe happened to him, and that word does come down, be sure to share it in the chat, because that is something that we should all want to know and be very cognizant of, because it's I can't put it any other way. It's pretty friggin' important. So definitely remember that. In fact, I'll even put that here starting off. All right. Now you can't say that I didn't give you ample warning there. Can't say I didn't give you ample warning there. So that is in the chat. You know what to do, and you know when to do it. When you hear anything about the condition of Jason Dominguez, we probably won't know at least for another few innings, and even possibly until after this game is over. But if we get even a shred of news, whatever it might be, leave it in the chat. So we're going here to the top of the second inning. 1-0 Bombers off a couple of really exciting triples here in the early going. And now Beck, the right-hander, is in for relief of Blackburn, is the right-hander. He's on the mound from the full wind. Here's the first pitch to Berger. Fastball strike, four-seam fastball down and away. And the count is 0-1 to Jake Berger, the first baseman, 218, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs, a 634 OPS through 36 games this season is Berger. Beck is looking in for the sign. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike on a slider down on the way to the right-handed Berger. And the count is now 0-2. Looking in is Beck, moving quickly from the full wind. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Slider down and away, just missed the plate. A little under the knee and certainly away. And the count is now 1-2 to the right-handed hitter. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Hit to left field. Going over is Bellinger. He catches it on the fly for the first out of the inning. So, a quick first out here by Brendan Beck, who is drafted in the second round by the Yankees in the 2021 draft. 2-2 with a 5.11 ERA this season in AAA over 7 starts. Not exactly impressive, but sometimes you just need warm bodies over 162 games and put a lot of miles on the that old shuttle between the Bronx and Scranton Wilkes-Barre. That's just the reality of it. So Carter, the 7-hitter, left-hander, is in the box. Here's the first pitch. Hit to right field. Going back is Rosario. He makes the catch. So 1 pitch, 1 out to Carter, and that'll be the second out of the inning. Well, here we are, folks. Here we are. But it's, so far, you can't take it away from him. Beck has definitely been doing fairly well. Now, here's the hitter Jansen, the right-hander. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball right down Broadway. The count is now 0-1. Moving quickly once again is Beck. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Down and away, a slider, 83 miles per hour over the left-handed hitting batter's box. The count is now 1-1. 7 pitches so far for Beck here today. He's from the full wind, the 1-1. Just missed the slider down and away, a little low, but it certainly caught the plate. The count is now 2-1 to Jansen. And luckily right now, Beck seems to be, so far, an effective warm body. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Outside four-seam fastball, 93 miles per hour. Basically, once again, clipping the lefty's hitting batter's box. And the count is 3-1 to Jansen. From the full wind is Beck. Here's the pitch. Just missed down in the zone. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles per hour. And that is a 2-out walk there for Jansen. And Texas has themselves a runner on first with 2 outs. It's 1-0 Yankees here in the top of the second. And here's Foscue, the second baseman. In 4 games, batting .111, no home runs, 2 RBIs, and a .333 OPS. Them's the breaks. Now, the first pitch from Beck. Strike, four-seam fastball, about thigh high and over the inside corner. The count is now 0-1 to Foscue, who's been hitting fairly light in just 4 games. Not a great sample size, of course. Now, looking in, here's the 0-1 pitch. Outside four-seam fastball, nowhere near the zone. Misses the plate clear wide. And the count is 1-1 to Foscue. So, got a runner on first, 2 out here in the top of the second. Beck is just looking to finish this friggin' thing off. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Down and away, a sinker, 94 miles per hour. Wide and high, largely. And the count is 2-1. So, I think we understand why Beck had a 4.11 ERA down in AAA. His command is nothing to write home about. He's just looking to basically pass the baton here. Now he looks in the 2-1. Hit right off his foot, did Foscue. And that evens out the count at 2-2. So Beck, for all of his frailties and imperfections in this mortal coil on the mound, is 1 strike away from ending this freaking inning. Runner on first, 2 out, 1-0 Yankees, top of the second. It's a 2-2 count. Now here's the pitch. Fouled down the third base side and out of play, and the count remains 2-2. 15 pitches for Beck here in this second inning, and also his first inning of work in relief of the opener, Paul Blackburn. Coming set is Beck. And the 2-2 pitch, up and high, a bit of cheese out of the zone, and that will be 3 balls, 2 strikes. The bases are loaded. Foscue has certainly not been doing Beck any favors, and that's major league hitting right there, I tell you what. Come set is Beck. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Strike 3 called, and that'll be the third and final out of the inning. So Beck gets out of that one. 0-0 Texas, 1-2-0 for the Bombers. We go to the bottom of the second inning. It is 1-0 Yankees here on Bombers Game Mic. Well, I will definitely say that was not a pretty inning, but it also was not a damaging one, any way you look at it. So that's certainly a positive here. Certainly a positive. But we head to the bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Bombers, and we are still sitting here and seeing what's going on, keeping our breath held here, awaiting news of Jason Dominguez. Because, the fact of the matter is, and I know I don't mean to keep harping on this point, but once again, I still see Clint Frazier crashing into the wall in right field. And think about how promising he was. Yeah, I get it. He had some weird personality, attitude stuff. He was kind of a strange guy. Though he does have a pretty good YouTube channel. I would definitely subscribe to that if I were you. It's funny. Now, all these big leaguers that we all grew up watching and have watched for many years have decided, I want to get in on the YouTube game. And they're doing a pretty good job of that. Trevor May actually has a really good channel. I like that. I don't know what your feelings on Trevor Bauer are, but he's certainly probably the most successful of them, just in pure statistics. But that's a different story for a different time. I'm not here to litigate that point at all. So we're here in the bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Bombers, here in the Bronx on an absolutely stunning afternoon at Yankee Stadium. And MacKenzie Gore, of course, is out for his second inning of work. And Ryan McMahon, who is now playing third base with all the defensive changes after the injury to Dominguez, is batting .209, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. His bat has really come together over the last 2 weeks, when at one point he was down to .069. Pretty gross stuff. No way to put that. Now, here's the first pitch of McMahon. Fouled down the third base side and out of play. And the count is 0-1. What the hell? Ugh. Friggin' people. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike, slider down and away, 85 miles an hour to the lefty McMahon. And the count is now 0-2 to the Yankees' third baseman. So usually Aaron Boone likes to play McMahon and Rosario in a platoon at third. When lefties are pitching, Rosario is in. When righties are pitching, of course, McMahon is in. Here's the 0-2 pitch from Gore. Fouled down the third base side and out of play. And the count remains 0-2 to Ryan McMahon, the name that I cannot possibly forget. And maybe one day I will tell you why. Nothing lurid, just an interesting small fact from my past. Coming set is Gore, the 0-2. Fouled back over into the Rangers on deck circle, and the count remains 0-2. So I will say this for McMahon. He's not letting him off easy. Gore manages to get out ahead there. Now, looking in is Gore. He winds on the 0-2 pitch. In the dirt, a slider bounces out in front of the plate. And that brings the count to 1-2. 24 pitches so far and 1+ inning of work in this game for MacKenzie Gore, who really is grinding here at the moment, to be sure. I don't know if he has his best stuff at the moment, but we shall see. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fouled back behind home plate, out of play, and the count is 1-2. This has been an absolutely interminable at-bat. I mean, once again, credit to Ryan McMahon for, holding tough. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Down and in the dirt, a four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour, was right over the plate, but basically ankle high. And the count evens at 2-2 to Ryan McMahon. And we know Ryan McMahon's offensive issues. Get back to that in a moment. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Hit to the third base side and down the line and all the way into the corner. Rounding first is McMahon. He will go to second, and he has a stand-up leadoff double here in the bottom of the second inning for the Yankees. So once again, the Yankees are managing to get to MacKenzie Gore with one extra base hit after another. So far, in 1+ inning of work for MacKenzie Gore, he has given up 2 stand-up triples and a stand-up double. Yeah. One to Goldschmidt, the other to Bellinger in terms of the triple, and now the double here to McMahon. Now here's a lefty Grisham playing center field, batting .164 this year. Leading off second is McMahon. Here's the pitch. High, a slider over the belt. Over the plate, but over the belt. And the count is 1-0 to the Yankee left-handed hitting center fielder. And with Dominguez going down like that, I don't necessarily think Trent Grisham is thinking that way, but it takes some pressure off for him. Here's the pitch. Slider down and away out of the zone to the lefty Grisham, because I don't know how Jason Dominguez wouldn't go on the shelf for at least 10 days, but there's one thing that's for sure, that may create an opening for Spencer Jones. I'm just calling that right now. Calling it right now. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Just outside. just misses the plate and a little above the knees, and the count is now 3-0 to Trent Grisham. Runner on second, nobody out here in the bottom of the second inning. 1-0 Yankees. Ryan McMahon is down there at second after a leadoff stand-up double. Now here's the 3-0 pitch. Hit out to left center field. Coming in over is the left fielder, Duran. He's under, and he makes the catch for the first out of the inning. And, of course, Ryan McMahon is staying right there. There is no opportunity to advance based on where Duran managed to catch that ball. So, 1 out. And here comes Schumann playing short. He's in for Caballero after getting plunked on the left funny bone last night. Max Schumann, in his first start of the season, but in 2025, batted .197 in 101 games. He is here to see what happens. We'll see, and luckily, we'll get Caballero back probably tomorrow or the next day. Day game after a night game, they definitely want to give him a little breathing room, let that injury settle, heal just a little bit. Now, Schumann is in the box. From the stretch is Gore, the pitch. He shows bunt, pulls back, curveball strike on the inside corner just above the knees. To the righty, Schumann. And the count is 0-1 to the Yankee right-handed hitting shortstop. Back in the box is Schumann. From the stretch is Gore. Here's the pitch. Well outside, four-seam fastball over the lefty's batter's box. And the count is 1-1. Ryan McMahon sitting down there at second after that leadoff stand-up double. Schumann most certainly would like to make this at-bat productive, considering it's his first start of the season. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Fastball down and in, 95 mile per hour four-seamer to the right-handed hitter. And the count is 2-1. 34 pitches so far for Gore in 1 1/3 inning of work. Gore looks in for the sign. He comes set at the chest. Here's a 2-1. Swinging strike right over a four-seamer up and in, 95 miles per hour to Schumann. And the count is even at 2-2. He was swinging for the stars on that one, but he swung right under it. He got the cheese, and he just wasn't able to lay off the thing. Wasn't able to lock off to the thing. So Gore comes set. Here's the 2-2. Breaking ball up and away. A curveball, 81 miles per hour. Just misses the zone a little high. It definitely had the plate, to be sure. And the count is now 3-2 to the Yankee backup shortstop. He's just looking to get on base right now. This time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Schumann, who steps out of the box there for a moment. He's adjusting himself, getting himself a bit centered there, trying to keep himself calm in this 3-2, because this is a big deal for him, man. This is his livelihood. Coming set is Gore. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Foul back behind the plate and out of play. And it remains 3-2. That was a fastball in the mid-90s there from Gore. Runner on second, 1 out, 1-0 Yankees, bottom of the second. It's a full count to the backup shortstop Schumann. In for Jose Caballero and his injured funny bone. Coming set is Gore. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Popped right up and into foul territory. Going over is the catcher towards the Yankee dugout, and he makes the catch right there in front of the Yankee dugout for the second out of the inning. So a little disappointing there in the first at-bat for Schumann in his first start in the major leagues in this 2026 campaign. And so there are now 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. The question really is here, are the Yankees really going to waste that leadoff double from Ryan McMahon? Well, J.C. Escar, the left-handed hitting catcher, batting 205 RBIs through 11 games this year, would definitely like to make something of it. Here's the pitch. Slider right down Broadway to the lefty hitting Escara. The count is 0-1. Leading off second is Ryan McMahon. Coming set at the stretch is Gore. He looks to second, and here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike, slider down and in, swung right over the top of that one, did Escara, and he is now in the hole, 0-2. He is indeed the 9-hitter here, so obviously not the ideal choice with, a duck on the pond in scoring position. But you know what? Everybody has to contribute, even the backup catcher. Now, coming set is Gore. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit to the right side and right to the first baseman, who comes over and takes it himself to the bag, and that will do it. That is the third out of the inning. So unfortunately, the Yankees do waste that leadoff double by Ryan McMahon. So we head to the top of the third inning. 1-0 Yankees in the Bronx. It is a beautiful afternoon for baseball on this Thursday in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. I'd like to thank you for joining me here today. I'm Paul D, and you are watching, listening, and hopefully enjoying Bombers Game Mike. Oh, yeah. That was a long inning that amounted to very little, unfortunately. But you know what? Them's the breaks. Them's the breaks. In the words of the late immortal John Sterling. And if you're a Yankee fan and you're joining me here and you're watching this game, you heard the news on Monday. And, it really did bite. I mean, he was 87 years old, right? And he led an amazing life. And we all kind of knew, I would say intuitively, that once he gave up doing the play-by-play, that he probably wasn't in the best of health, and he may not have had that much time left. That's just kind of the unfortunate thing about it. And even with that in mind, when we did get word of that, even though many of us never actually met him ourselves, you really felt like you lost somebody important in your life, somebody significant in your life, not somebody that you knew personally, but was a constant presence through basically 6 months of the year, watching and listening and following Yankee baseball. And he had a style that nobody can replicate, and anybody who tries will ultimately fail. And you just can't help but feel that loss. And I'm telling you right now, I am still pissed off he is not in the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. He 100% deserves to be a Ford C. Frick Award winner, as far as I'm concerned. So, top of the third inning here. And let's see, Beck is back out on the mound. Here's the first pitch to Nimmo. Fastball strike right down the middle to Nimmo from the reliever here, Beck. The count is 0-1. Brandon Nimmo 0 for 1 with a flyout in the first. Here's the pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. And the count is now quickly 0-2 on that curveball out and away to Brandon Nimmo, the former hand for the New York Mets. Certainly a familiar face here in town. Looking in is Beck from the full wind, the 0-2. Breaking ball way outside, right over the right-handed hitter's batting box. And the count is now 1-2 to Brandon Nimmo, leading off as the DH today. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Hit to the left side. Going over and back is Bellinger. He's at the track, and he makes the catch. Just jumping up right in front of the track. An absolutely beautiful play there by Cody Bellinger. And if I was saying it last night, I said it a million times, and I cannot say it enough. The left field defense that Cody Bellinger has been playing this year has been saving Yankee runs. We don't usually think of left field as some premium defensive position. Usually you stick somebody there that has a great bat. Now, here's it hit to right field. Going back is Bellinger. He's looking up, and it is gone. A solo home run from Duran out into the left field stands, and it is now 1-1 here in the top of the third inning. Really just jumped right on that one. 374 feet, an exit velocity of 97.6 miles per hour. Ezekiel Duran has been having a fine series here this week in the Bronx. An unfortunate turn here for the Yankees, but we are all tied at 1. So 1-1 here in the top of the third inning. With 1 out, Corey Seager is up for a second time today. Here's the pitch. Four-seam fastball down and away to the lefty Seager. Count is 1-0. Corey Seager walked in the first, hitting .214 with 7 home runs, 19 RBIs. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Breaking ball down and in, nowhere close to the zone to the lefty Seager. Count is now 2-0. And let's put it this way. Beck has been quite lucky so far that it's only 1 run. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Right down Broadway, four-seam fastball for a strike. The count is 2-1. That was 91 miles per hour. Yeah, an ERA over 5 starting in AAA. I'll talk about a warm body. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Fouled straight back. Four-seam fastball out and over the plate, 93 miles per hour. And the count is even 2-2. So we're all tied at 1 here with the solo home run from Ezekiel Duran into the left field seats. Now, here's the 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball down and in, a slider. Does not hit the plate and basically gets near the ankles. And the count is now 3-2 to Corey Seager with 1 out here in the top of the 3rd inning. Looking in and winding his Beck. Here's a 3-2. Ball 4. In the dirt and taking his base is Corey Seager. His 2nd walk of the day. Corey Seager is just an incredible player. I know he doesn't have great numbers so far this season, but he's such a professional hitter, such a leader, such an excellent player. Obviously, he came, was largely with the Dodgers for a long time, and then he ended up in Texas. Runner on first, 2 out here. Now, here's the 4-hitter Young. Here's the pitch. Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, says the home plate umpire. Could not hold up. Josh Jung, the 3rd baseman, was hit by a pitch in the first. He's hitting .323 with 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, playing 3rd base here today. And he also made that incredible stab on a line off a Judge back in the first. Now, here's the 0-1 pitch. Four-seam fastball out and away, 92 miles per hour over the lefty's batter's box. The count is 1-1. So Corey Seager's down there at first with 1 out. We're all tied at 1 in the top of the 3rd inning. It's a 1-1 count here. Beck comes set at the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball on the outside corner just above the knees to the righty Jung, and the count is now 1-2. He steps back in the box. Seager leads off first. Beck from the stretch. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball down and away, a slider not nearly close to the zone. Jung wasn't even remotely tempted. And now the count is 2-2. Back on the bump here is Blackburn. He has the sign. And he deals. Hit down up to center. Got by Chisholm, throws to second, 1 on the first, double play, and that will do it. So Jung hits an easy ground ball right to Jazz Chisholm, who had him shaded perfectly. Easy toss to Schumann, covering second, then throws on to first and manages to get Goldschmidt right there in the chest, as they like to say in Little League. So that will do it. He manages to get out of the jam, and we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's all tied at 1 at Yankee Stadium right now. A beautiful Thursday afternoon game in the Bronx. I'm Paul D., and this is Bombers Game Mic. All knotted at 1. Yeah, that's where we are right now. All knotted at 1. And, I guess maybe there are some people out there that like it. I can't stand these openers. They just bother me so much. I understand this one is being done out of necessity. But, occasionally over the league, there'll be some jackass team out there who considers it some brilliant winning strategy to go and try this. Sometimes it works, unfortunately. It's just not the baseball I came up with. I've come to accept it, but I don't have to like it. But whatever. That's the game these days, I guess. But here we are, here we go. Going to the bottom of the 3rd inning. And hey, Tina Martinez is now a spokesman for CarShield. I might just buy that. Because Tino told me to. That's what you do, right? All right, we're back here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. all tied at 1 here in the Bronx. And everybody in the stands is enjoying themselves. Most of them are most certainly going to go home with a sunburn today. But you know what? Sometimes that's the price of following your team. Sometimes that's the price of following your team. Now, here's Goldschmidt for his second at-bat. Here's the first pitch. Piled down the third base side and out of play. Counts 0-1. Goldschmidt, of course, jumped right off on MacKenzie Gore with that stand-up triple back in the first inning. He's hitting .213, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs in backup duty at first base so far this year. Gore from the full stretch. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fouled down, rather, it's down the first base side giving chase, but it is in the stands. It was definitely slicing foul, but when you got the reaction of Goldschmidt for a moment who thought, oh crap, that thing might actually land in fair territory, I better run, I think it's pretty fair to say he deked the entire audience. 43 pitches so far for Gore. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Goldie. So it's an 0-2 count to the leadoff first baseman. Gore has 43 pitches today. From the full wind, here's the 0-2 pitch. Fouled off the catcher there, home plate. Got him on his bare throwing hand. That doesn't look like a lot of fun. Let's see what happened. Oh, yeah. At first, it looks like it may have got him on the shoulder, and then it ricocheted on the hand. I don't care who you are. I know the shoulder is protected, but goodness gracious, that is just not... That's not fun. You know, anytime you play catcher, though, the real pro move, if you can do it, is keeping your throwing hand behind your body and finding a way to bring it on around when you need it. Here's a curveball down in. Did he go around? No, says the first base umpire. Goldie manages to check his swing, and the count is 1-2 to Paul Goldschmidt. 45 pitches so far for Gore. He's looking to settle in a bit here after a rocky first couple innings. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Changeup down and away to the righty, Paul Goldschmidt. Low and off the plate. The count is 2-2 to the Yankees' first baseman today. Now from the full wind, the 2-2 from Gore. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Goldschmidt on a four-seam fastball in the mid-90s, down and in, and that'll be the first out of the inning. So not exactly the result he got the first time around. He's 1 for 2 today now. And now here comes Aaron Judge, who just managed to hit a absolute laser ball towards third, but you know, Jung down there at third made an incredible stab to get the out. Here's the first pitch. Change up out and away to the Yankee captain. The count is 1-0. 271, 15 home runs, 28 RBIs, a 1059 OPS. That's beautiful stuff. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Four-seam fastball inside and off the plate. 94 miles per hour. Fastball, and the count is 2-0 to Aaron Judge, who definitely wants to make up for what happened back in the first. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Hit out to center field. He got under it. Out slightly to right center field. Right there in right field. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. So, 2 outs. What you going to do? It was not a great at-bat there. Now, here's Cody Bellinger. Last 9 games, hitting .452, 11 extra base hits, 13 RBIs, a 1,500 OPS. Talk about a friggin' hot streak. So, 1-1 here, bottom of the third, 2 out. Here's the first pitch to Bellinger. Strike, four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour on the outside corner just below the belt. And it is 0-1 to the left-handed hitting Bellinger, who himself had a stand-up triple earlier in this game. Here's the pitch. Foul back behind the plate and out of play. A four-seam fastball out over the plate to Belly. And he is in the hole 0-2. 290, 5 home runs, 27 RBIs, a 911 OPS so far in this campaign for him. Looking in is Gore from the full wind. Here's the 0-2 pitch. In the dirt, a curveball. Basically bounced right in front of the feet of Bellinger. He was not even remotely tempted by this. And he is back in the box. And Gore is back on the mound. He stands about in the middle of the rubber. He comes wind. Here's the 1-2 pitch. He hits it out to center field. Coming in, Weather, it kind of blows in, and is Seager, who manages to pull in the catch. That one just seemed to deke everybody. He got under it a whole lot. It looked like there was a bit more drive on it than there actually was. And it didn't even get as high as it would have initially appeared because it came down pretty quick. So that's the third out of the inning. So 1, 2, 3, go the Bombers in the bottom of the third inning. We're all tied at 1 here. We're going to the top of the fourth. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are all tied at 1 here in the Bronx to the top of the fourth inning. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. Yes, indeed. So, well, I will say this. At least we're getting ourselves a game here. A game I think many of us wish we could have had last night. But, hey, you're never going to go. Every winning streak ends. Some end later than others, but they do end. And it's interesting. The Yankees are a very good team this year. You can't take it away from them, and they have definitely been playing and making decisions with urgency. I think that's something that a lot of people have noticed. But something you also can't deny is most of the rest of the American League right now is really awful. I was looking at the other day, there was only like 3 teams that had, a record over 500 in the AL or something like that. Of course, as great as the Yankees have played, friggin' me, Tampa Bay can't seem to remember how to lose a baseball game. It is absolutely insane. So for all the wonderful play so far that the Bombers have had this season, you've had Tampa right there on their heels. They won last night. The Yankees are only up in first place by half a game right now. All right, so we're here in the top of the fourth inning, 1-1-0 for Texas, 1-3-0 for the Bombers. 5-hitter Pedersen is in the box. He's the left-handed hitter. Beck is out again. A four-seam fastball down and into Pedersen. Jock Pedersen, the right fielder, who's 0 for 1 with a ground out in the first. 198, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs in this campaign. Now, here's the 1-0 pitch. Hit to the right side and over into right field. Playing it right there is Rosario. And Pedersen has a lead-off single here for the Texas Rangers. It is definitely what's going on. And right now, Aaron Boone seems to believe he just needs Beck to be a warm body. Now, here's the first baseman, Jake Berger. He's 0 for 1, line out in the second, 217, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs as the right-handed hitting first baseman. Now, here's the first pitch to Berger. Breaking ball down and away and out of the zone. And the count is now 1-0 to Berger. Beck does not have what we would like to call impressive command. He has simply been just good enough so far. He wanted the 1-0 pitch. Swinging strike, swung right over the slider, out over the plate. The count is 1-1. Got a runner on first, nobody out. Here in the top of the fourth inning, all tied at 1 in the Bronx. The righty Beck is in relief for Blackburn, going into his third frame of work. He comes set. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball on the outside corner, right at the knees. Whispering over the black, as they like to say. And the count is now 1-2 to Texas's first baseman this afternoon. Runner on first, nobody out. Here's a 1-2 count. And here's the pitch. Hits the right side to Chisholm. He throws to second, one, on to first. Safe. Berger beats the throw at first. So they managed to get the out on the force at second, but Berger was absolutely chugging it the whole way, and he just beats the throw from Schumann, who manages to record the out at second. We're looking at the replay here, and there is no question whatsoever. Berger absolutely beat him to the bag on that play. However, it is the first out of the inning here in the top of the fourth. Now, here's the lefty hitting Carter, who's 0 for 1 today. Here's the first pitch. Breaking ball, curveball specifically, 76 miles per hour on the outside corner at the knees to Carter, who's 0 for 1 with a line out in the second. And the count is 0-1 to Carter. Coming set is Beck. Now here's the 0-1 pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. The count is now 0-2. Really just, Beck has managed to get a few key ground balls that have gotten him out of some trouble. I'll give him credit for that. But he is not an easy watch. Comes set at the belt. Now, here's the 0-2 to Carter. In the dirt, a slider, 83 miles per hour, standing at first right there is Berger. And the count is now 1-2. So the question here is Beck really trying to strike him out? Or is he hoping to get another ground out to a middle infielder, get a double play, and this top of the fourth? We shall see. He comes set for the 1-2 pitch. Down and in a splitter, 83 miles per hour. Not particularly close to the zone. And the count is now 2-2. That is where we are, folks. This is a all bullpen affair with Ryan Weathers recovering from really, really nasty illness of the stomach. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Hit down the third base side. Charging on over is Ryan McMahon in fair territory in left field. Makes the catch over the shoulder there for the second out of the inning. Really impressive work there by McMahon, managing to track that one down with the high sun in Yankee Stadium in left field, which has been notorious for, the last century, both the last building and this one, considering they have the exact same east to west orientation as the original. That high sun in left field at Yankee Stadium is killer. But Ryan McMahon manages to go back, track it down, get it over the shoulder for the second out of the inning. Now here's the first pitch to Jansen. Swinging strike, splitter out over the plate. Swinging right through it is the righty hitting Danny Jansen, the catcher who walked in the second. And the count is 0-1. So the Texas still has a runner on first with 2 out here, all tied at 1. Beck throws over to first, and Berger makes it back in time. I'll tell you what, though. That Max Fried pickoff throw, man. Talk about deceptive. Coming set is Beck. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Splitter down and away out of the zone to the right of Jansen. The count's 1-1. Of course, if you are of a certain age and era, when you hear about a reliever named Beck, you think of Rod Beck. And boy, Bernie Williams definitely did a number on him. Am I right, folks? If you were alive to see that one, let me know. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Popped straight up into shallow left center field. Calling for it is Grisham. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the third out of the inning. So a little bit of trouble there for Beck, but amazingly, he pulls another Houdini, and we get to go to the bottom of the fourth inning at Yankee Stadium. It is all tied at 1 at the big ballpark in the Bronx. The new cathedral. I don't know how you could have ever really succeed the original, but that wasn't my call to make. So, head to the bottom of the fourth inning, all tied at 1. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. And you know what? If you are there and you're listening and you want to lead in on the chat, and I'll repeat this from time to time because I think it's necessary, and we'll see where we are. But I'd be really curious, what was your best memory if you saw a game at the old Yankee Stadium? That is absolutely something I would love to know. Because, for me, I have a difficult relationship with the new one because I was so attached to the old one. And I'm not going to belabor the point. It's been nearly 20 years since it was closed and the opening of the new ballpark here. But it was a special place. And if you are old enough and you are a Yankee fan of a certain age to have seen games there and had memories there, Put it in the chat. These are things that I like to know. I like to know how Yankee fans are feeling about these things that we don't generally talk about, but we still harbor with us, right? Because, the new stadium is very impressive, and I can't take anything away from it. But all the same, it's still something I think about here from time to time. Anyway, we're heading to the bottom of the fourth inning, all tied at 1 at the big ballpark in the Bronx. And, of course, after today, the Yankees hit the road, and they head to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to Miller Park. That's been unfortunately named American Family Park. I refuse to call that. Here's Ahmed Rosario, 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the first. He'll lead off here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Gore from the full wind. Here's the first pitch. Breaking ball down and away. A curveball 79 miles per hour. A bit low, if you ask Blue behind home plate. The count is 1-0 to the Yankees right fielder this afternoon. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Hit to left center field, and it is going back. Right there is the left fielder, Duran. He makes the catch. He manages to chase about 20 feet over to his left and haul that one in. Just enough hang time to pull it off, and that's the first out of the inning here in the bottom of the fourth. Ahmed Rosario definitely has some pop. We have seen some really quality performances so far from him this year, but, he's still very much a utility player. Here's the first pitch to Chisholm. Hit out to left field. Going back is Duran a few feet. He's right there. He makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out to Jazz Chisholm. You can score that 7 in your scorecard for you wonderful baseball nerds keeping score at home. Not exactly the most competitive at-bat from Jazz Chisholm, who has not really been terribly great this series. He was very anemic last night. Nathan Eovaldi was just shutting him down with all those cutters in. Now, here's Ryan McMahon. He's 1 for 1 with a double. Here's the pitch. 4-seam fastball down and away. And the count is 1-0 to Ryan McMahon. Once again, he doubled back in the second. And Hill is up in the pen for the Yankees, getting hot. Gore comes wide. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Slider down and away, nowhere close to the zone. To the lefty McMahon. The count is 2-0. 59 pitches so far for Gore here through 3 2/3 innings of work. 1-1 here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Nobody on, 2 out. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Fouled back behind the plate. A 4-seam fastball right on over at 94 miles per hour. The count is 2-1 to Ryan McMahon, who is, to his credit, really coming around with his bat. And boy, does he need to when you're making $16 million a year. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Up and in a 4-seam fastball, check swing. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the third baseline. And the count is now 3-1 to the Yankees, a lefty hitting third baseman. Yeah, he's making $16 million, so you can't have him hitting 0.69, despite how great his defense at third he may be. Now, here's the 3-1 from Gore. Up in the zone, and that will be a 2-out walk to Ryan McMahon, so he will take his base here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And here comes the lefty hitting center fielder Trent Grisham, who's 0 for 1 with a flyout in the second, hitting 162 this year, 5 home runs, 20 RBIs. He's picked up his power recently, and before that he certainly did get some critical walks, but he has not come around quite the way you'd want him. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike over a slider on the outside corner above the knees, and the count is 0-1 to the Yankee center fielder. So, runner on first, 2 out here in the bottom of the fourth inning, all tied at 1. Grisham at the plate, a Gore on the hill. The lefty comes set from the stretch. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fastball out and away, high and just missed the plate. A 4-seam fastball at 95 miles per hour from Gore. The count is 1-1 to Trent Grisham, who really right now is just looking to put together some kind of quality at bat at the moment. Gore comes set at the chest. Here's the 1-1 pitch. He pops it right up again in the middle of the infield. Calling for it is Seager, and it drops right there in the infield. He cannot pick it up. There are now runners on first and second. Corey Seager booted a light pop-up in the middle of the infield by Trent Grisham. And in all likelihood, it was that high Yankee sun that we all have to deal with. And he was surrounded, one, by Gore to his left, and of course Young to his right, and none of them could get to it. It just hits right there. It rolls all the way to the third baseline, and now the Yankees have runners on first and second, 2 out, on that, what I can't describe as in any way acceptable or major league lack of defense there on the left side of the infield for Texas. So runners on first and second, 2 out here. Here is the shortstop Schumann, who's 0 for 1. He is a right-handed hitter making his first start of the year. Here's the pitch. Outside, four-seam fastball, 94 miles per hour. Didn't get the plate, certainly had the height. And the count is 1-0. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going on a blooper reel for, stadium entertainment between innings at some point in the future. Now, coming set is Gore. Here's the pitch. Hit to the right side and fielded by Berger. And covering to first is Gore, and he makes the catch and covering the bag for the third out of the inning. Berger made an incredible play. It bounced hard to his left-hand glove side. He manages to get it with his momentum still going towards the line, turns around, makes an absolutely perfect throw to Gore at first to record the third out of the inning. So, as awful as that drop pop-up was, that play from Berger is definitely redeeming for anybody that has professionalism in Major League Baseball for their defense. So, the Yankees strand a pair of runners in the bottom of the fourth inning. We are all tied at 1 going to the top of the fifth inning. 1-1 at Yankee Stadium. I am Paul D. And this is Bombers Game Mic. Ain't that a thing? Ain't that a thing? Yeah. Yes, indeed. So this is a tight one so far. See, these are the kind of games that if you're somebody who's calling it, there's nothing like it, right? There's nothing like it. It keeps you engaged. It's a lot of fun. You can't ask for any more than that, right? But you know what? Here we are. That's what we're doing here today. That's what this is all about. So, if we're going to have a good one today, let's make it happen. Let's see where it goes. And, hey, you know what? If you can get a good competitive game on getaway day, sometimes those are the best. Though, if you're a player, you want to make getaway day as easy as possible for you, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. So, we are here in the top of the fifth inning. And I imagine we will see Hill coming into game in relief of Beck, who, he wasn't great with control, but you know what? He bent but never broke. Now, here's Alejandro Osuna, who is pinch hitting here. 238, no home runs, 2 RBIs. In fact, no, Beck is still on the hill. Here's the first pitch to Osuna. Down and away, a ball. I think they should absolutely challenge that. They are choosing not to. And the count is 1-0 to Osuna. Now, here's the 1-0 pitch. Sinker out and away, 91 miles per hour, well off the plate. The count is 2-0 to Osuna, who's hitting 238. And here we go. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Down and over the plate, but clearly missed the height. Four-seam fastball at 90 miles per hour. And the count is now 3-0 to the lefty Osuna. From the full wind is Beck. Here's the 3-0 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball down and in on the lefty Osuna. 91 miles per hour. And the count is 3-1. Once again, from the full wind, here's the 3-1 pitch. Ball 4. So Beck once again commits the mortal sin of pitching. He walks the leadoff hitter. And why is it the mortal sin, you ask? Because a walked leadoff runner, unfortunately, has this ungodly propensity to seem to come around and score far more than any of us are comfortable enough to admit. But Aaron Boone is going to the pen. It looks like Hill is coming in relief of Beck. Looks like Boone was taking him batter to batter in that one, seeing if he couldn't, squeeze a little bit more out of that lemon here. And there's a runner on first with no out as we await the pitching change. Now, for the most part, Hill has actually had a pretty darn good 2026. I know he had a rough outing recently, but the truth of the matter is, as lefties go in their bullpen, Hedrick, Hill, and heck, even Yarbrough have been pretty darn good, especially Hedrick. And right after that is Hill, and, Yarbrough has had his moments. But we're going to the lefty Hill. And undoubtedly there is strategy involved in this. Whoo, boy. Are you all excited for this tight game here on a Thursday afternoon? If you are, leave it in the chat. Let me know. What do you think's going to happen here? And once again, like I was saying earlier, if you're willing to share it, if you're old enough to have gone to the original Yankee Stadium, you have to be of a certain age now. I know, it's been almost 20 years. Share it in the chat. What was your favorite memory from that? And how do you feel about the new ballpark over almost 20 years now? Have you been able to fully accept it? Did it not really bother you? Do you still pine for the old one? These are things I think about. And when you have a pitching change, these are sometimes things you need to talk about. And as fans, we may not talk about it very often, but it's definitely something many of us do keep with us. And we are waiting for Tim Hill here to get his warm-up tosses on the mound. And now Brandon Nimmo is coming to the plate. Tim Hill through 16 games, a 1.26 ERA, 14 and third innings pitched, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 184 batting against him. And naturally, the lefty's being brought in here to face the lefty Brandon Nimmo, who's the leadoff hitter and the DH. He's 0 for 2 with a flyout and a lineout, hitting .289 with 4 home runs so far this year. So a lefty-lefty matchup. Runner on first, nobody out here in the top of the fifth. We're all tied at 1. Hill is on the hill. Here's the first pitch. Foul back, a sinker down and in on the hands of Nimmo. And the count is 0-1. And Brandon Nimmo against lefties this year is actually hitting .302 as opposed to righties where he's hitting .283. So he's definitely had some success. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fouled back behind the plate again and out of play. And Nimmo is quickly in the hole, 0-2 to Hill. And one thing you got to say here, of everybody we've faced, Hill is by far at this point the most competent pitcher the Yankees have put on the mound so far. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit to the right side and into center field. Going over, fielding it is Grisham. Going to third. It is the runner from first, and it is runners on first and third, and nobody out here on the no-out single from Brandon Nimmo. So, Texas is now seriously threatening here in the top of the fifth inning. They want to pull ahead here on getaway day. And in the case of Trent Grisham, he was shaded well over towards left center field. He was not playing straight away at all, and the ball just hit in a way they weren't expecting. Now, here's Ezekiel Duran, and here's the pitch. Hit to the right side, and played by Chisholm. He throws to short, he throws to second 1, and they managed to get the force, it would appear, but the run does score from third. So it is now 2-1 Texas there on the ground ball RBI, and of course Duran gets to first on the fielder's choice there. So it is a 2-1 Texas lead here in the top of the fifth inning. There is now just a runner on first with 1 out. And unfortunately, just the way the play developed and how long it took to get Jazz Chisholm in the throw over to first to Schumann, it wasn't going to happen. Here's the first pitch to Seager. Hit down the left field side. Going over is Bellinger right in front of the cannon sign, and he makes the catch right there at the warning track, right near the left field foul pole for the second out of the inning. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me update that on the score bug there for you. Oh, yeah, he just kept tracking it down. He's in front of the wall there, in front of the cannon sign, only about 5 feet from the pole, and he manages to bring it in over his shoulder. Once again, Cody Bellinger showing us left field can be a premium defensive position. And here's the first pitch to Young from Hill. A sinker down and away out of the zone. Josh Jung 0 for 1, hit by a pitch in the first, hitting .320 so far this year. It's a 1-0 count. Here's the pitch. Chopped right down in front of the plate. Fielded by Hill. He throws to first in time for the third and final out of the inning. However, Texas manages to pull ahead with 1. And we go to the bottom of the 5th inning with a 2-1 Ranger lead. And the Yankees now truly do have their work cut out for them going forward here, especially because MacKenzie Gore has in fact settled in after those rocky first 2 innings. And the question will be, especially now we're getting back towards the top of the lineup here, can the Yankees once again put together some quality at-bats and at the very least tie up this game? Will it happen? I don't know. Oh, fantastic. We do have a comment here. My first experience was spring training back before the 2007 addition to Steinbrenner Field. You know what? That's actually really interesting. I know I was asking about Yankee Stadium. I've not actually made the trip down to Tampa yet for spring training, but I hear it's a fantastic experience. And especially back in 2007, I know the team, that was the team that basically had the locust plague descend upon them in Cleveland in the division series that year. And Joe Torre will always say the one regret he has as the Yankee manager was not taking his team off the field when that happened. But that was an incredible Yankee team. You think about the players who were on that team. Obviously, DJ was still very much largely in the prime of his career. I think A-Rod wins the MVP that year. Matsui is back. Johnny Damon is out there. A lot of Melky Cabrera, another guy. Robinson Cano, I know his name is a bit stained now, but we remember what he was back then and just how incredible he was. You had Posada behind the plate. That was also the year that Jabba Chamberlain broke out. And, of course, he's the one who absolutely suffered from the plague of locusts that descended on them at the Jake from Lake Erie. Now, here's the first pitch. Outside to J.C. Ascara. Count is 1-0 to the lefty hitting backup catcher for the 1-0. 2-1 Texas at the bottom of the 5th. Here's the pitch. Hit to the right side, fielded by the second baseman. He throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. So a couple of pitches and a quick out there for the Yankee backup catcher. And we have one out here in the bottom of the 5th, and we are back to the top of the order with Paul Goldschmidt leading off. He's 1 for 2 with a stand-up triple back in the first. He is in for the injured Benjamin Rice, who's day-to-day with a hand contusion. From the full wind is Gore. Here's the pitch. Change up down and away out of the zone. The count is 1-0 to the Yankee first baseman. We're very lucky to have Paul Goldschmidt just in the short term here. You couldn't ask for a better backup. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Hit to left field. Right there is Duran. Asuna, who dives and makes the play on the slide there. It was breaking away from him. He had to charge in on that. He is, in fact, in there in substitution. Originally, Duran had been out there. It looks like they may have moved him over to second. But it was a very nice sliding play there in left field against that very harsh sun. And a really unfortunate break there for Goldie for 2 outs. And here's the first pitch of Judge. Four-seam fastball strike. Swung right on through some cheddar up in the zone. And the count is 0-1 to Aaron Judge, who's 0 for 2 with a line out. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fouled down the first base side and out of play. And Judge is quickly in the hole, 0-2. Coming set there is Gore looking for the sign. And here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit on out to right field. Charging on over is the right fielder. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. So a quick 1-2-3 for the Bombers in the bottom of the fifth inning. It is 2-1 Texas going to the top of the sixth inning. And the Yankees need to put something together here off of MacKenzie Gore, who, very much to his credit, has settled down and has kept the Yankee offense at bay. And I think we all know this. When you're stopping and you're thinking about these sort of things in the way that we do. When you look at the Yankee lineup, obviously when Stanton went down, it definitely shortened that lineup. Now with Ben Rice missing, it's even shorter. And really, for the most part, well, no doubt, having Cody Bellinger batting behind you for Aaron Judge is a fine thing. It doesn't have the same impact when you don't have those thumpers, 1, 2, or 3 batters down the lineup. It changes entirely how pitchers are choosing to pitch to him. And even though last night he managed to get that solo home run to right center off of Eovaldi, he has not looked particularly all that comfortable missing Ben Rice. I mean, you can't replace a bat like Ben Rice right now. And basically, for the Yankees, we're all just sitting here as fans, holding our breath, and just absolutely hoping that he gets back soon and that contusion manages to work itself out. I don't know how long it will take. I don't think any of us want him to remain on the shelf, obviously. That would not be good for anything in Yankee territory. If you have any prediction of when we're going to see Ben Rice again and how long it might be, definitely tell me down in the chat. And on top of that, I still want to hear your reflections on your best memories of the old Yankee Stadium. And heck, even Steinbrenner Field, as this first comment here from Full Throttle GK. And I thank you very much for leaving that one. Contributing to the discussion here on Bombers Game Mike. That's always a good thing. Hill's out for his second inning work, and here's his first pitch to McCutchen. Slider outside. Just missed the plate. The count is 1-0 through 24 games, 235, a home run, 5 RBIs for Andrew McCutchen, the pinch hitter right now. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Foul down the the first base side now to play. The count is 1. Andrew McCutchen. This guy was one of the faces of baseball in the 2010s, especially when he was with Pittsburgh. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Four-seam fastball strike on the inside corner right above the knees to the righty hitting McCutchen. The count is now 1-2 to the living legend himself. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Four-seam fastball well out of way and out of the zone. And the count is 2-2. It basically went well out towards the lefty batter's box. And it's 2-2 to Andrew McCutchen. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swinging strike 3. Down goes McCutchen for the first out of the inning. Down swinging he went, folks. Down swinging he went for the first out. And you know what? Obviously, in terms of sound design and doing this stream, obviously I'm not going to use anything else, because think about that PC Richard & Son whistle. First pitch to Berger is a ball out and over the plate, and the count is 1-0. Coming set is Hill. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. The count is 1-1. That PC Richard & Son whistle. Imagine you're a visiting team. You've been shut out for 8 innings, and you're a player who struck out 3 times today, and he gets the golden sombrero, and he hears that again. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Fouled down the third base side and out of play, and the count is now 1-2. You've had a long day, 3 strikeouts already, and then you put up the golden sombrero, and you hear another PC Richard & Son whistle. It is not merely sonic branding for PC Richard & Son. It is a taunt to the opposition. A subtle one, but an undeniable one. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Piled back up over to first base. Underneath it is Goldschmidt in very shallow right field, and he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. Yeah, it's just incredible, especially when the other team is getting shut down, and all you're hearing is all afternoon. I mean, it's taunting that is just barely obscured by sonic branding and sponsorship by PC Richard & Son. I absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. It's great. I think it actually started back in 2009. And now we have a visit from the pitching coach out there for Hill. They're chatting something over, whatever that may be right now. Yeah, most definitely. So, we're waiting here. Lefty Carter is due up with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning. 2-1 Texas here in this rubber match. The third game of 3 at Yankee Stadium on this businessman's special getaway day. And then after this, the Yankees head to Milwaukee, where they get to face Misiorowski. That'll be a fun game to call. Now, here's the first pitch. Bunted down the right field side, played by Chisholm. He shoves it over to first and is not nearly in time. It goes well over the head of Paul Goldschmidt, and Carter easily makes the play there at first. Not exactly the great defensive prowess you want from Jazz Chisholm. So he hits it to the right side, just kind of slaps it with a half bunt. Chisholm is nowhere near being able to get it because it was just hit too shallow. He was playing too far towards left field. He gets it in his glove, and he tries to shove throw it in his glove over to Goldschmidt. It went over Goldie's head. Luckily, the throw was being backed up by Escara. So now Texas has a runner on first with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning, and Booney is now going to the pen yet again. That is exactly the type of thing we're dealing with today. This is a friggin' bullpen game, folks. But you know what? Sometimes it's necessary. And boy, if you're able to pull it off, I gotta say that would probably feel very gratifying if I were playing for the Yankees. So we await the pitching change, y'all, for the Yankees. And it would appear that Booney is now going to the left-hander Hedrick, who has been just so good this year for the Bombers. In 2026 through 19 games, 19 for a reliever, 2-0, a 1.47 ERA over 18 1/3 innings pitched with 20 strikeouts and a 1.25 whip. Is the 6'6", 235, 28-year-old left-handed reliever for the Yankees. He is just having an absolutely sick 2026 out of the pen. Hopefully his arm doesn't fall off from overuse. You remember Scott Proctor? I remember Scott Proctor. He was never the same after being in Joe Torre's bullpen. But we look on that with fondness now. So the 8-hitter Jansen is at the plate. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. Runner on first with 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning. It is 2-1 Texas here at the moment, with Brent Hedrick in relief of Tim Hill. Brent Hedrick looks in. The lefty comes set above the belt, and he throws over to first. And really just no real lead over there. Just kind of keeping them close, if anything. So we get to do this again to the righty hitting Jansen. Yes, indeed. Here's the pitch. Popped straight on up to center field. Going back to his left is Grisham. Shading from the sun, but makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. So a little bit of trouble. A little bit of this, a little bit of that in the top of the 6th inning, but nothing to show for it has Texas. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. It is 2-1 Rangers at the big ballpark in the Bronx. in this incredible day for baseball on Getaway Day. I'm Paul D., and you are listening, watching, and hell, maybe even enjoying Bombers Game Mic. Yeah, here we are, folks. This one has been something of a slog, honestly, if I'm being honest with you. It's a tight game, and the Yankees are absolutely in it. You know, for an opener emergency scenario, it being only 2-1 in the bottom of the sixth inning with, you know, quote-unquote, the heart of the order coming up. Well, no, actually, it's not even the heart of the order at the moment. But, I mean, I believe Bellinger is due up. And then, of course, you got Jazz Chisholm. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. They got to pull something out of the hat. But here's the good thing, right? And I was talking about this last night. Even over 162 or in the playoffs, whatever the case is, if a team has power, and even in the shortened lineup, this Yankee team still has power, you're never out of it, and especially late. No doubt. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does. If I did, I would be putting in my bet on Poly Market right now. Because why miss a wonderful opportunity for ill-gotten profit? Okay, so we are going to the bottom of the sixth inning. It would appear that MacKenzie Gore, the lefty, is probably still in this game. And it would appear he is. And, yep, Gore has 74 pitches so far, 1 earned run over 5 innings of work. Here's Cody Bellinger, his third at-bat of the day. Coming from the full wind is Gore. Here's the first pitch. Slider on the outside corner at the knees for a strike. And the count is 0-1. We haven't seen a single ABS challenge today. That's very interesting. Bellinger 1 for 2. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Tabbled down the first base side and out of play. Count is 0-2 to Cody Bellinger. And, you know, Gore has really come together so far. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Curveball in the dirt, down and in. Just absolutely gets away from the catcher and then bounces out towards the Yankee dugout. The count is now 1-2 to Belly. From the full wind is Gore. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball inside and off the plate. A curveball at 82 miles per hour, which evens the count out at 2-2. Now, Bellinger is 1 for 2 with a stand-up triple. And what a triple it was. Even though largely it was a misplay by the right fielder, but whatever. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Up and in, four-seam fastball, nowhere near the zone. A little bit of chin music there at 94 miles per hour to Bellinger. And the count is full, 3-2. And the lefty Beeks is getting hot in the Ranger bullpen. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Hit down to the right field side. Does it stay fair? It is a foul ball. It just hooks to the foul side going down the right field line. Doesn't even make it into the stands. It hits the foul wall there against the stands. And so we get to do this now again, 3-2. That was the 80th pitch today so far for Gore. Back in the box is Bellinger, and back on the bump is Gore from the full wind. Here's the pitch. Ball for a leadoff walk to Cody Bellinger by Gore. And that will represent the tying run at first. And now here comes the right-handed hitting Ahmed Rosario, who started this day playing third base, was moved over to right with the terrible incident and injury to Dominguez, and McMahon is now at third. Here's the pitch. Fouled off the first base side and out of play. And the count is 0-1 to Rosario, who's 0 for 2. And then, of course, Bellinger, who was playing right, moved over to his natural position in left. That's the story there. Coming set from the stretch is Gore. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fastball inside and off the plate, 94 mile per hour fastball. The count is 1-1 to the righty hitting right fielder for today. Aaron Judge is the DH this afternoon. Coming set above the belt is Gore. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. And the count is 1-2 to Ahmed Rosario. So right now, clearly Texas is, I think, probably taking it batter to batter with Gore, with Beeks up in the pen. Jazz Chisholm is on deck. Coming set is Gore. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Hit on out to left field. Right there is Osuna. He charges on in, and it falls in for a hit. He actually went back initially on the play, and it gave him a step off when he had to then charge forward. It falls in to medium left field, and the Yankees now have runners on first and second, and nobody out here on the defensive miscue by Osuna out there in left field. He misjudged the ball. He initially went back, realized that it was going to fall well start in front of him, charged towards it, but it drops easily 5 or 6 feet in front of him. So runners on first and second and nobody out for the Bombers. This has been their biggest offensive threat in easily 3 or 4 innings. And here comes Jazz Chisholm, the left-hander, against the lefty Gore. Undoubtedly, the Rangers want Gore in this because they want the lefty-lefty matchup. Jazz is 0 for 2 today. He's certainly looking to make something happen here. I don't know how he couldn't. Here's the first pitch. Swinging strike, curveball down and in. Jazz swings right over the top of that one. The count is 0-1. He's not really choosing great pitches at the moment. His pitch selection, it seems to be all over the place over the last couple of games. Very on and off so far for Jazz Chisholm. Come set is Gore. Here's the 0-1. And he popped it straight up. And he is pissed with himself. The infield fly rule is in effect, which means the batter is out. And Jazz Chisholm coming up empty there with 2 ducks on the pond. And he was so pissed, he slammed his bat right down, and it split right in half. And you know what? I don't blame him. He is absolutely disgusted with himself. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. So, 1 out here with 2 on in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Yankees are still threatening here with runners on first and second and 1 out. And here comes Ryan McMahon, 1 for 1 with a stand-up double earlier. And there is Gore. Here's the pitch. Down in the dirt, a slider and away. The count is 1-0 to Ryan McMahon, who no doubt would like to put a quality at bat here. I mean, 2 ducks are on the pond with 1 out. The Yankees need to take these opportunities when they have them. And this has been the biggest chance they've had so far. Now here's the 1-0 pitch. Fouled straight back and out of play. A 4-seam fastball at 95 miles per hour. That was over the plate and slightly about belt high. Undoubtedly, McMahon wishes he could have had that one back. I certainly would have. So it's a 1-1 count here. Runner on first and second, 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. 2-1 Texas. The Yankees are finally threatening here. Coming set from the stretch is Gore. Here's the pitch. 4-seam fastball well up and in to the lefty McMahon. The count is 2-1 to the Yankee third baseman. 90 pitches now for Gore. Depending on what happens here, this could easily be Gore's last batter with the lefty beak up in the pen for Texas. He comes set at the belly. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Curveball in the dirt over the plate, but not nearly in the zone. And the count is now 3-1 to Ryan McMahon. So Ryan McMahon here absolutely has himself a prime hitter's count with 2 ducks on the pond. Let's see if he can do anything with it, because Gore absolutely has to throw a strike here. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, says the home plate umpire. He could not hold his swing on what it appeared to be a breaking ball down. And yes, when you look at the side angle there, he certainly went around. He broke the front plane of the plate. Hell, if he made contact with it, it would have been a friggin' double. So it's a 3-2 count here to Ryan McMahon. Runner on first and second. 1 out. Here's the pitch from Gore. Ball 4, and right now it is being challenged by the Rangers. We have our first ABS challenge of the game. Ryan McMahon is still making his way over to first, and the call is upheld. It was indeed a ball, so there is a walk, and the Rangers lose 1 of 2 of their remaining ABS challenges. The Yankees still retain both of theirs. So it is the bases loaded and 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. This is the big opportunity they've been waiting for all day. And here comes Trent Grisham. And we have a mound visit right here. Looks like it's the pitching coach trying to settle Gore down here. This has been the most trouble he's been in, frankly, all day. The pond is full of ducks with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 2-1 Texas. The lefty Trent Grisham is up. He's 1 for 2 today. 93 pitches so far for Gore. This is what we were hoping for in terms of having an absolutely thrilling game. Certainly it is what I was looking for. And the lefty Grisham steps into the box, and naturally they're going to keep Gore in there because they want the lefty-lefty matchup. They're going to try and play the numbers here. Let's see who comes out on this one. Gore looks in for the sign. He is from the stretch with the bases loaded. He comes set at the belly. Here's the first pitch of Grisham. Sink a slider down and away and out of the zone to the lefty, Trent Grisham. And the count is now 1-0. And once again, with the bases loaded, any pop-up in the infield here with less than 2 out, the infield fly rule will be in effect. Coming set is Gore. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike. Grisham swings right over the top of a sinker down and in. Evens the count out at 1-1. And yeah, he swung over it by about an inch. I think he was thinking it was going to be a bit higher. Had it been, it would have been in the lefty wheelhouse. Coming set is Gore. 1-1 pitch. It is hit out to left center field. Coming over is the left fielder Osuna, and it goes all the way to the wall. 1 run will score. Here comes the next runner. He will score. And it is now a 3-2 Yankee lead. Correction. A 4-2 Yankee lead. It is a bases clearing stand-up RBI double for Trent Grisham. And the Yankees take the lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And there is still only 1 out. Oh, that was some hitting right there by Trent Grisham. He hits it out there into that left center field gap. Osuna cannot get to it. It rolls all the way to the wall. It is a stand-up 3-run, just bases clearing double for Trent Grisham. And the Yankees take a 4-0 lead. Excuse me, a 4-2 lead. A 4-2 lead, folks. I swear, I have not been drinking this afternoon. At least not enough. Hey. Baseball is about booze, but no, you don't drink on stream. That's generally considered poor form. You just don't do that. That's a rookie move. However, if I did, I would certainly be raising a toast right now to the clutch hitting of Trent Grisham, who now has the Yankees in the lead for the first time in a number of innings. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning with 1 out, and the Yankees are not done yet. They're not done yet. In addition to that, well, it was an emergency opener game. As we go into the final 3 innings, now we go into serious back-end options for when the Yankees have a lead, or at the very least are tied. And I know this has been at times a very touch and go, a very by the seat of your pants experience with that part of the Yankee bullpen this year. Luckily, it hasn't come back to bite them too much. I'd be lying. Despite the fact Bednar has seemed to manage to get the job done for the most part, he's never done it too easy or too pretty on a number of occasions. And, truth be told, I do genuinely wonder how long he is going to be in the role, just because he doesn't seem to have just quite that touch that he's had when he came over from Pittsburgh near the trade deadline last year. But we'll see. Now, here's the 8-hitter Schumann, who's 0 for 2. Jalen Reeks is in the game, and here's the first pitch. Fouled down the first base side and out of play. The count is 0-1 to Schumann, who's 0 for 2 with a foul out and a ground out. This is his first start of the 2026 campaign. Trent Grisham is sitting out there by himself at second, responsible for 3 of the 4 Yankee runs. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fouled once again down the first base side and out of play. And the count is 0-2. Yeah, in some ways, I would say this has probably been Trent Grisham's best moment so far as the Yankees center fielder in 2026. He's had some very good defensive plays, though. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Changeup down and into the righty Schumann. Not even close to the zone. It was in the dirt and off the plate. The count is 1-2. So 4-2 Yankees here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Runner on second, 1 out. It's a 1-2 count to Schumann. And Reeks deals. Swinging strike 3. And down goes Schumann for the second out of the inning. So Schumann has not exactly looked all that great in the pen. Starting today. And when the right-hander is getting hot down in the Ranger pen. Now, here's J.C. Escarra, the backup catcher, giving my boy Austin Wells a day off, the 9-hitter. He's 0 for 2 today. Here's the first pitch. Cutter well away off the plate and out of the zone to the lefty Escarra. The count is 1-0. And, not Reeks, Beeks. I'm just wishing his name into existence. Here's the pitch. It is a check swing out into left field, and it is a base hit. Coming around to score is Grisham, and that will be a 5-2 Yankee lead. Oh, boy. A check swing, RBI single to shallow left field for Paul Goldschmidt, and that will give the Yankees a 5-2 lead. Ho, 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 ho. That is what you come to see, folks. That is why we are here. The Yankees are finally putting it together now against the Ranger pitching here this afternoon. Yeah, he just absolutely just got like a half swing. No, excuse me, that was J.C. Escarra. My bad. I'm so sorry. Getting overexcited. The first pitch to Goldschmidt is down and in for a ball, a changeup. Counts 1-0. My apologies, folks. Please forgive me. Get a little overwhelmed when you see something you want to see happen. So, runner on first with 2 out. It is 5-2 Bombers here in the bottom of the 6th inning. So, 1-0 count to Goldschmidt. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike right over the top of a changeup, right over the middle, but low in the zone. The count is 1-1. 1-1. So, the Yankees have putting it together here. They are trying to give themselves something to work with. Here's the pitch. Change up down and away out of the zone. Count is 2-1 to Paul Goldschmidt. 9 pitches so far for Beeks here today, the left-hander. In relief of MacKenzie Gore. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Out and away, a 4-seam fastball, nowhere near the zone to the righty Goldschmidt. And the count is 3-1 to the Yankee first baseman today, in for the day-to-day injured Ben Rice. Can't get him backing up. Runner on first, 2 out, 5-2 Yankees, the bottom of the 6th. Here's the pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play, and the count is 3-2. 3-2. So, hey, this is exactly the inning that they need, that they've been hoping for all day. Can they add even more onto it? We shall see. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Ball 4, changeup down and into Goldie, and that'll put runners on first and second with 2 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And here comes the captain, Aaron Judge. And he's 0 for 3 today. And let's see. Are they going to make the change here? Are they going to pull Beeks, the left-hander? We will find out very shortly. I think it's at least possible. Cody Bellinger, of course, on deck. And indeed, they are going to the pen. It looks like the righty Wynn is coming in here in relief of Beeks to face Aaron Judge and then possibly Cody Bellinger. Well, I think the Yankees may have batted around. I think that may have happened, folks. That's a thing. That's a thing. So we got another pitching change here for Texas. They are just trying to stop the bleeding here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And the Yankees obviously can't get enough of this stuff. How could you blame them? They're finally putting it together, but the guy that gets the most credit here, and it is great to finally be able to say it with such certainty, goes to the clutch hitting of Trent Grisham. That bases clearing RBI double is, if the Yankees win, will undeniably be the Yankees' turning point of the game. Now, I don't want to jinx anything. All right? This game is far from over. And I'm as superstitious as any other baseball fan. But so far right now, as you are watching and listening and we are following along with the action here, Trent Grisham. And boy, the Yankees have 22 million reasons to be happy with that outcome this afternoon. And we're still here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Runners on first and second with 2 out, and Aaron Judge is coming into the game. He's coming up to the plate. Can the captain extend the lead? Well, if there's anybody in the Yankee lineup who is capable enough, is this dude right here. I mean, come now. That, and he's hitting to some bad luck. All right, here's Cole Winn in 15 games. 5.27 ERA and 13 2/3 innings pitched, 6 walks, 16 strikeouts. Batters are batting .226 against him, the right-handed reliever. Judge is at the plate. And here's the first pitch. Cutter up and in for a ball. The count is 1-0. Judge 0 for 3 with a lineout and a pair of flyouts. He's looking to do some serious damage here. He is looking for his pitch. Coming set is Wynn, the 1-0 pitch. Hit to the left side and into left field for a base hit. Fielding it is Osuna. Coming around is the runner. He will score. And the Yankees now have a 6-2 lead. Oh, boy. The Yankees are slowly pouring it on here with the RBI single from Aaron Judge. It's a 6-2 Yankee lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And there is no question on that one. Aaron Judge was waiting for his pitch. He was not happy with that 0 for 3. He got robbed by Young at third base in his first at-bat. Now, here's Cody Bellinger with runners on first and 2 out. And here's the pitch. Fastball, a cutter up and away, well out of the zone to the lefty hitting. Cody Bellinger 1 for 2 with a triple today. Runners on first and second, 2 out. 6-2 Yankees. They are still batting here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Now here's the 1-0 pitch. Strike splitter on the outside corner at the knees to the lefty Bellinger. The count is 1-1. The Yankees have finally broken through in a big way. And there's still a very powerful piece at the plate. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Well up and away, a splitter out of the zone. It goes high and away over the right-handed hitter's batting box. The count is 2-1 to the Yankee left fielder, who really has been an incredible player today on defense with the bat. Let's see if we can do more. Here's a 2-1. Hit to the left side and through for a base hit. Coming around is the runner from third. He will score, and the Yankees now take a 7-2 lead. Oh, Oh, Bellinger saw that big hole over there on the left side. They were clearly shaded more towards right. He just took what wind gave him, shot it out there into left field for the RBI single. And the Yankees now have a 7-2 lead here in the bottom of the sixth inning. The Yankees are starting to break this one open here. This is the kind of thing you want. Runners on first and second, still 2 out. Here's Ahmed Rosario, and here's the pitch. He hits it to the left side, fielded by Seager, tosses it to the second baseman at second for the force for the third and final out of the inning. But the Yankees absolutely explode for 6 runs here in the bottom of the sixth inning. It is 7-2 Bombers going to the top of the seventh here on Thursday afternoon Yankee baseball in the Bronx. I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. Ho, 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 ho. What an inning. Oh, talk about a turnaround. And especially after watching last night. You know, after watching last night was just Eovaldi had their number all night. You know, Judge had the single home run. And then now the Yankees, they're playing them tight into the sixth inning. And then, boom, a 6 spot in the bottom of the sixth. I mean, that's just where it's at, folks. That's just where it's at. And that's precisely what I was saying before this even started, this inning even began, which is if you got power, you're always in it, especially if it's only a 2-1 game. And the Yankees, even with the shortened lineup, they're still tough as nails. This is a very good Yankee team offensively in many regards. So, hey, 7-2 Bombers. 7-2 Bombers to the top of the seventh inning. Hoorah, hoorah. Oh, boy. Really just the absolute opposite of last night in every single way. But I'll tell you this. I am curious to see how Aaron Boone chooses to play this in terms of how he wants to handle the bullpen from here. Because it's a 5-run lead. That's a pretty decent lead as things go, but in modern baseball, that can evaporate in a second. We all know this. I'm curious to see where he goes here in the seventh. And really how much he wants to get this one on getaway day. And for the most part, take this series going on the road. I have to imagine he's probably pretty into that idea. I'm pretty into that idea. I think you're pretty into that idea. So Hedrick is still on out there for the top of the seventh inning. And here's the first pitch. A four-seam fastball well up and away to the righty Haggerty, who's the pinch hitting right now. So this is his first at-bat. It's a 1-0 count. Here's the pitch. Grounded to shortstop. Schumann fields on a hop. Throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. So, some quick work there on the part of Brent Hedrick, who's really just been incredible so far. Yeah, and they're showing the replay, the injured Ben Rice. He got fooled by Max Fried's pickoff move, just like the rest of us do. And then when the ball came thrown over, he misjudged it, hit him on the hand. Here's the pitch. Slider down and in the dirt for a ball to Brandon Nimmo. And the count is 1-0 to the lefty DH. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Hit a little high, a four-seam fastball, 92 miles per hour. Blue behind home plate was certainly not impressed. Brandon Nimmo, 1 for 3 on the afternoon. He's having a hell of a 2026 campaign. Now, here's the 2-0 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball on the outer half of the plate, about knee-high. And the count is now 2-1 to Brandon Nimmo. Up in the pen is the righty Bird. Interesting. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. It looks like it actually hit Brandon Nimmo's foot, and he's just kind of walking it off right now. Professional hazard in that case, I'm afraid. And, of course, hey, this is interesting. Bullpen ERA for the Yankees is 3.22, which makes them third in the American League behind the Mariners and the Rangers. The Rangers have a 2.89 bullpen ERA. The Mariners have a 3.14. though both teams have not been terribly impressive despite that. So it's a 2-2 count here to the lefty Brandon Nimmo. Coming set is Hedrick. Here's the pitch. Hit to the left side. Fielded there by McMahon. Throws to first in time for the second out of the inning. So in this particular case, they had Nimmo shaded clear over towards right field, and that included Ryan McMahon, who was almost sitting there at the extreme right-hand side of where the shortstop usually is. But they had it played right, and it is the second out of the inning. So top of the seventh, nobody on, 2 out. It is a 7-2 Yankee lead after a big bottom of the sixth. Here's the first pitch to Duran. Four-seam fastball strike right down Broadway from Hedrick. The count is 0-1. And apparently the exit velo on his home run earlier, Duran, was 97.6, and it went 374 feet to left. And here's the 1-1 pitch. Splitter out and away. Correction, that was the 0-1 pitch. Actually, the 1-0 pitch. And the count is 1-1. Coming set is Hedrick. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Slider down and away to the righty Duran. Count is 2-1. So Duran has definitely been a thorn in the Yankees' side this series. Oh my God. Can somebody get this guy out? Here's the pitch. And he popped him up behind the plate and out of play. And the count is 2-2 to Duran. Duran, of course, is 1 for 2, and he had that solo job to left field earlier. 12 pitches so far for Hedrick. And the Yankee infield is playing straight back and straight away. Here's a 2-2 pitch. In the dirt, a four-seam fastball over the plate but low, and the count is now 3-2. So nobody on, 2 out, top of the seventh inning. It's a 7-2 Yankee lead. It's a full count to Duran. Hedrick is on the mound. He comes set. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Foul down the first base side and out of play. Count remains 3-2. So Duran is just being one difficult at-bat after another. You got to respect it. You might not like it, but you got to respect it. Coming set is Hedrick. There's the 3-2. Just missed the outside corner. A four-seam fastball. And Duran will take his base. So it is a 2-out walk there on the part of Brent Hedrick. Duran is heading on over there to first. And it's a runner on first with 2 out in the top of the seventh inning. And here's Corey Seager, who's 0 for 1, the left-handed shortstop. Here's the first pitch of Seager. Swinging strike, swung right over the top of a sinker down and in at 94 miles per hour. The count is 0-1 to their incredible shortstop. Coming set is Hedrick. Now here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike, same pitch, same result. Swung right over that sinker down and in 94 miles per hour. And the count is now 0-2. He just thinks, you can't blame a lefty for trying to go on something down and in. That is their natural wheelhouse. Now here's the 0-2 pitch. Called strike 3. Down goes Corey Seager. And that is the third out of the inning. So the Rangers strand a runner here in the top of the seventh and can't get anything going. It is the seventh inning stretch at Yankee Stadium. And of course, because it's Yankee Stadium and the Yankees, they will be honoring America with God Bless America. But before that, I believe they will be honoring their veteran of the game. That seems to be their plan this year in the seventh inning for home games. And that's something that, quite frankly, I think is very classy. And, the Yankees are like that. And right now, they are honoring a U.S. Marine, a member of the Marine Corps. Yes, that's a big deal, Devil Dog. Yes, U.S. Marines, John Paulus, rank sergeant, hometown, Lebanon Township, New Jersey, serving in Vietnam. Serving in Vietnam. You know what? Any Marine who makes sergeant, who operated in theater in Vietnam, they saw some stuff. And you got to respect it. And a sergeant in the Marine Corps, I think any Marine listening might say, "Hoorah, devil dog." Now, the Yankees will play God Bless America. And right now, of course, given conflict in the world, if you know anybody that is serving overseas in the military and is in theater and potentially in dangerous way, keep them in your thoughts. Keep them in your thoughts and wish them well and wish them safely. They are doing a very professional job under incredibly difficult circumstances. And I am very pleased to see the Yankees are honoring that service, as is their custom. So, before we get to Take Me Out to the Ball Game, we got ourselves some God Bless America here, folks. So, a little bit of Take Me Out to the Ball Game here. We're going to the bottom of the 7th inning here at Yankee Stadium. Let's see if the Yankees can continue to build on their 5-run lead. Certainly, they will take the option if it is made available to them. And right now, if you want to leave it in the live chat, you want to get involved here with a 7-2 lead. For example, we get to the 9th inning and it's a 7-2 lead. Do you bring in David Bednar? Are you that concerned that you'd want to start an inning with him? And it's an interesting question. I tend to think if they get to that point and it remains 7-2, that they might leave Bednar in the pen, give him that additional day of rest. But it's hard to know. It's hard to know what's going through the mind right now of Aaron Boone. But something that we have noticed so far this season is the Yankees are playing with tremendous immediacy and certainty and a very firm direction of travel in terms of their mission statement this year. I mean, certainly that is the way that they have been going and handling themselves so far. You can see it obviously in terms of their decision making. You can see it in terms of what they're doing down in AAA. Like, for example, they didn't just hand that role back to Volpe because he finished up his rehab stint. His rehab stint was not very impressive. He didn't hit particularly well. He didn't field particularly well. And Jose Caballero has vastly exceeded his remit from when he started this year. 2-4-0 Texas, 7-9-0 Yankees going to the bottom of the 7th inning. And MacKenzie Gore, he pitched great for a long time, but he is responsible for 5 runs over 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. That's harsh. That's harsh. Now, here's the first pitch to Jazz. Strike, cutter, down and in. Here's the left-handed hitter, Tyler Alexander, through 16 games, has a 2.16 ERA through 16 and 2/3 innings, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts. Batters are batting .292 against him. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball down and away, out of the zone, and the count is 1-1 to Jazz Chisholm, who is 0 for 3 with a strikeout, fly out, pop out. Not exactly impressive. His last at-bat really rankled him. Here's the pitch. Hit to the right side and through into right field for a base hit. So Jazz Chisholm managed to get a leadoff single here in the top of the 7th inning. And Lord knows he wants to contribute to the Yankees building on this 7-2 lead right now. It was just right down and in. He just dropped the bat on it. It was right there. Well, actually, it was a little bit more away than that, but it was low. He dropped the bat on it, manages to get right past the second baseman into right field. So runner on first and nobody out. Here's Ryan McMahon, 1 for 1 with a stand-up double earlier. And the first pitch from Alexander, strike, four-seam fastball right down Broadway and at the knees, 90 miles per hour. 1 for 1 with the double, a pair of walks and a run scored, batting .217, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, a .656 OPS. He's definitely coming together here. Cummings set it as the lefty Alexander. Here's the pitch. Sweeper strike over the outside corner just below the belt. And the count is 0-2 to to the Yankees, a left-handed hitting third baseman. Runner on first, nobody out. A leadoff single by Jazz Chisholm Jr. Coming set is Alexander. He holds, and here's the 0-2 pitch. Swinging strike three. Going to second is Jazz Chisholm. Throw down to second, and he is out. It is a strike him out, throw him out, double play. That is 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and Jazz did not get a good jump, and on the replay, he is clearly out. It looks like Seager there got that throw in and placed the tag perfectly, and, well, that's 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Strike him out, throw him out. Pretty frustrating. But you know what? They still do have that 7-2 lead. Now, here's Trent Grisham. Here's the pitch. Sweeper well and away out of the zone to the lefty Trent Grisham. Counts 1-0. Grisham, of course, 2 for 3 with that huge bases-clearing double back in the 6th that gave the Yankees a 4-2 lead at the time. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Swinging strike cutter down and away from the lefty Alexander. And the count is 1-1 to Trent Grisham. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. Really, just these left-handed relievers, they just seem to be manifesting out of nowhere. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Sweeper down in the dirt and nowhere close away. And the count is 2-1. It is 2-1. Now, who would have thought? Coming set is the lefty Alexander. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Just missed down on a sinker out over the plate and at the knees. I don't know. Is that they are not challenging that one, which is interesting. They only have one challenge remaining. Honestly, I thought that was a strike. So it's a 3-1 count to Trent Grisham. Nobody on, 2 out. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Hit to the right side and past a diving second baseman into right field. So Trent Grisham gets his 3rd hit of the day with a 2-out knock here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So he's definitely been putting together quite a hitting clinic here today. Right there past the outstretched diving glove of Duran, going to his glove side. It just wasn't there for him, folks. It just wasn't there for him. Tears everywhere. Now, here's Schumann, who's 0 for 3 this afternoon. He's in for the slightly injured Caballero. Here's the pitch. Throwing down to second is is the Rangers, and, of course, Trent Grisham manages to steal second base. It was a strike, and he managed to get the best of Alexander there, who was definitely napping. He got a decent jump, but the throw was very much to the left field side of the bag, and coming in cleats first was Grisham, and he most certainly beats it cleanly. So now the Yankees have a runner on second with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Yes, indeed. It is an 0-1 count to Schumann, who would definitely like to drive Grisham in. Here's the pitch. Cutter up and in and out of the zone to the right of Schumann. And the count is 1-1. So right now, the Yankees are most certainly looking to build on this 7-2 lead. Alexander comes set. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hit to the left field side and into left field down the line for a base hit. It goes into the corner. Trent Grisham will score, and it caroms around in the corner. And that will be the 8th Yankee run of the game. Oh, an RBI double for Schumann. He just grounds that thing right down the line and past the bags in fair territory, and it's very lightly hit, and it's just basically sitting out there in the corner near the foul pole before Osuna can go and pick it up. So we have a 2-out RBI double here. The Yankees now have an 8-2 lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Now here comes the 9-hitter J.C. Escara. 1 for 3 with an RBI single in the 6th. That was that half swing, check swing that just blooped into left field for an RBI in the previous inning. Runner on second, 2 out. Lefty Escara's up. Here's the pitch. Cutter out and away. Had the height, did not have the plate. The count is 1-0. To the lefty hitting J.C. Escara, who's given Austin Wells a day off. 8-2 Yankees here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Now here's the 1-0 pitch. Cutter down and away out of the zone. The count is now 2-0 to J.C. Escara. And no doubt Escara wants to add to that 8-2 lead. They want this to be a freaking blowout. And so does every Yankee fan in the audience. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Down and away, just missed the zone. A sinker out over the plate. Apparently didn't have the height at the very least. And the count is 3-0 to the Yankee left-handed hitting backup catcher. Runner on second, 2 out. 8-2 Yankees. It is a 3-0 count. Alexander is on the hill. And the lefty deals a 3-0 pitch. Ball 4, and Escara will take his base. So the Yankees now have runners on first and second with 2 out here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And we're back to the top of the lineup with Paul Goldschmidt, who's playing first base today for the injured Ben Rice. 1 for 3 with a triple. So runners on first and second, 2 out. 8-2 Yankee lead here in the bottom of the 7th. The Rangers got a right-handed pitcher getting hot down there in the pen. Paul Goldschmidt, he wants to add to this Yankee lead. He wants to get in on the feast, even though he's certainly contributed offensively so far today. Well, it looks like we got ourselves a little mound visit again. Are we looking at a pitching change? It's not impossible. It's definitely the slow walk. Oh, yep. They're going to the pitching change. So, we got the right-hander Gray, I believe, coming in the game in relief for the lefty Alexander. And that leaves us in the bottom of the 7th, 2 out, 8-2 Yankees, runners on, I believe, first and second. First and second, Paul. Let's correct that. So the Rangers are going to the bullpen again. Oh, yeah. Go Yankees. Go Yankees 100%. All for that. And that is what the Yankees right now. Boy, talk about breaking out of the schneid. Yeah, 100% there. No question. And thank you for getting yourself in there on the chat. That is something I appreciate, because the fact of the matter is, I'm doing play-by-play, and the moment I'm on the road, my normal setup in my normal studio at home, I'm usually on camera. You can see what I'm all about. If you want to go in some of the past live streams to see my amazing face on screen, just, 15 out of 10 handsome, that almost breaks the lens of my camera, you can do that. But right now, we're doing it audio only. We're doing it totally old school. And I'd like to thank you for joining me here this afternoon for this incredible Yankee game. And hey, for the most part, it's been all good news so far. And right now, Goldschmidt is, we're seeing some replays of all this offense earlier. Some of it just great clutch hitting. Some of it's just terrible defense on the part of the Rangers. Now, here's Peyton Gray in 4 games. No earned runs, 6 innings pitched, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. Batters are batting 190 against him. We got runners on first and second, 2 out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And Paul Goldschmidt is up. He's 1 for 3 with a triple, walk, and 2 runs scored. How about that? How about that? I'm not trying to be Mel Allen here, but sometimes it just comes out. Coming set is the righty Gray. Here's the first pitch of Goldschmidt. Slider out and away over the plate for a ball. The count is 1-0 to Goldie, who has been doing a very serviceable job in the absence of Ben Rice. Coming set is the righty Gray. And the pitch. Fouled down the first base side now to play. Count is 1-1 to Goldie. And, I can't hide it, and I'm not going to bother denying it. I am such a Goldschmidt homer. All those years he played, especially in St. Louis, considering that's where I now live, I saw him for quite a few years. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Fouled on a check swing up and in off the bat of Goldschmidt. It was a changeup that literally was about Yankee logo high on the jersey, and it was almost incidental on the part of Goldschmidt, but the count's 1-2 all the same. Coming set is Gray. Now here's the 1-2 pitch. In the dirt, down and away on a changeup. That evens out the count to 2-2. So I got to see him play all the time through some of his best years. And he's also just such a good dude. He really is. You know, I'm not going to lie. I have a Goldschmidt Cardinal jersey. Why? Because he's friggin' awesome, even in the twilight of his career. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Inside changeup, nowhere near the zone. And the count is full 3-2 to Paul Goldschmidt. And the fact that he and I share a given first name, well, I'm not going to say that hurts anything in terms of the intensity of my endorsement. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Just missed on the outside corner, and that'll load the bases. Paul Goldschmidt will go take his base. So the Yankees have the bases loaded with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. 8-2 Yankees, and here comes the Judge. Aaron Judge, he's 1 for 4. Got an RBI single back in the 6th. You know he wants to break this one open here. The pond is full of ducks. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball on the inside corner at the knees to the righty Judge, and the count is 0-1. He is looking for his pitch. He wants to feast here. He wants to put this one to bed. Coming set is Gray. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike, kind of change up away, a little above the knees. He was definitely aiming for that ball to land somewhere near Mars, but he swings over the top of it. And the count is 0-2. All the ducks are on the pond. It's an 0-2 count with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. 8-2 Yankees. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Down and away, a changeup and out of the zone away. The count is 1-2. Seems to go to that changeup rather frequently. It was definitely a waste pitch. Wanted to see if Judge would be at all interested in offering. He was not. Coming set is Gray, and here's the 1-2 pitch. Swinging strike 3, swung right over the top of that one, down and away, and unfortunately that will do it. However, the Yankees add another and another on top of that. It is an 8-2 Yankee lead going to the top of the 8th inning. Which is Thursday afternoon Yankee baseball. It is Yankee Stadium. It is an 8-2 Yankee lead. I'm Paul D, and you are listening, watching, and joining Bombers Game Mike. Oh, yeah. Did anybody else here see that coming? Did anybody else here see that coming? I don't know. I don't know, folks. But that's okay. That's okay. So right now, I think my question from earlier has probably been pretty thoroughly answered at this point. With an 8-2 lead, assuming it remains that, or something comparable in the 9th inning, unless for some reason Booney thinks that Bednar needs to get some kind of work in, you know, I don't necessarily think I want to bring my closer in on getaway day, put him in the game for a non-save situation. Though, in fairness, given how well the Rays have been playing, maybe you kind of have to. I mean, I understand it's not great to manage that way, and I'm not going to make the argument that it is, but if I'm trying to read into the mind of Aaron Boone at the moment, you know, he very well may be thinking along those lines. It's not impossible. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. So we are awaiting the top of the 8th inning here. Alrighty. And the righty Bird is in the game. And coming up is Andrew McCutchen. Looks like Schumann's moved out there to left field. So there's definitely been some substitutions going on. Yep, so here's the pitch. Inside to the righty McCutchen. The count is 1-0. Oh, excuse me, to the righty Jung. Correction, Jung. Now the 1-0 from Bird. Hit to the left side. Played there on a hop by McMahon. He throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. So a quick couple of pitches on and out there to Jung. And here comes Andrew McCutchen. One of the greatest names to say in baseball. What a baseball name. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout today. And he's currently playing right field. But yeah, there have definitely been some changes. So Max Schumann, he's going from shortstop to right field. And Jose Caballero is coming on into the game apparently. Oh, that's a sinker up and into Andrew McCutchen, nowhere near the zone. The count is 1-0 to the legend himself. One out here in the top of the 8th inning. Coming set is the righty Bird. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Outside on a sweeper to the righty McCutchen. Count is now 2-0. And the score bug is brought to you by the New York State Lottery. That's what I like to call a solid career choice. Here's the pitch. Sweeper just missed. Wasn't quite high enough for Blue, though it caught plenty of the plate. And the count is 3-0 to Andrew McCutchen. Common set is the righty Bird. Here's the 3-0. Ball 4 inside on the cutter. Wasn't particularly close to the zone. And Andrew McCutchen will go and take his base. So runner on first, one out in the top of the 8th inning. 8-2 Yankees. And here comes Jake Burker, the first baseman. 0 for 3, line out, fielder's choice, and a pop out. But boy, he's played some serious defense. Holy hell. Here's the pitch. Strike, sweeper on the outside corner at the knees. The count is 0-1 to Burger. So a runner on first, one out here. Andrew McCutchen there by a walk. Coming set is Bird. Here's the 0-1 to Burger. Hoop in a sinker. A little bit of chin music at 95 miles per hour. And the count is 1-1. Oh, yeah. So, right now, the Yankees just try to tie it down. Here's the pitch. And it is a pop-up into right around second base. Oh, and it falls between Jazz Chisholm and Jose Caballero, but they managed to get the force at second because Andrew McCutchen obviously couldn't go taking off on an easy pop fly, so they allow it to fall between them, but Andrew McCutchen is standing stationary at first base. Caballero just picks it up and then basically tags second for the second out of the inning. That is the second time today we have seen defenders on both teams have trouble with pop-ups in the infield. Not exactly a defensive clinic, folks. Not exactly their finest moment. Here's a 2 out. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike to Carter, a sweeper in to the lefty, and the count is 0-1. Evan Carter, 1 for 3 with a single in the 5th. 2 outs here, 8-2 Yankees in the top of the 8th. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Just outside a curveball. Didn't have the plate, but it was around the knees. The count is 1-1. Basically, all Bird wants here is just to end this inning and just keep moving forward. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swinging strike, swung right on through that curveball, down and in. And the count is 1-2. Oh, yeah. Originally, Jazz called for it, then Caballero called for it. Then, of course, Jazz picks it up, tosses it over to Caballero at second for the force. And it is a pop-up behind the plate and out of play. And the count is still 1-2. It was just goofy. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. I mean, it was a definite screw-up. It was not pretty. It was kind of embarrassing. But in terms of the game itself, it didn't end up mattering. So, hey, I guess he gets on due to the fielder's choice. That's an interesting one. You don't see that one happen very often. Coming set is Bird. He steps off the rubber. So we get to go and do it all again. Yeehaw. So 8-2 Yankees here in the top of the 8th inning. 2 out, runner on first. And Bird deals foul back behind the plate on a sinker down and in with 96 miles per hour to Carter. That's a nasty sinker, 96 miles per hour, especially with that good downward action. A little bit of horizontal movement. You can go a long way if you're able to deal that consistently. Coming set is Bird. Here's the 1-2. Fly out to a shallow left field. Underneath it is McMahon, and he has the 3rd out of the inning. So Texas strands their only runner here in the top of the 8th inning. It is 8-2 Yankees going to the bottom of the 8th at Yankee Stadium. They have an 8-2 lead. How about that? Ain't that something? I'm Paul D. This is Bombers Game Mike. This is Bombers Game Mike. Yeah. So, due up here in the bottom of the 8th inning, you have Cody Bellinger, Jose Caballero, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. Left, right, left for the Yankees going in the bottom of the 8th inning. So, yeah, right now we had a really tight game until we got to the bottom of the 6th inning, and then the Yankees decided they weren't playing around anymore. Enough of this stuff. It is time to close this one out. We got to win this series at home. And right now, they are 3 defensive outs from doing just that for a win on this businessman special on getaway day. And you know what? Definitely take your win right now. Get as much pleasure as you can with your bats. Because I believe the probable for tomorrow night in Milwaukee at Miller Park, no, I am never calling it American Family Field. That is a goofy name. It'll always be Miller Park. The fact of the matter is, if you named a ballpark after, a very popular beer, though I know there are many detractors from Miller, it is really one of the great ways to have a sponsor name for a ballpark. And of course, in Milwaukee, if you've ever visited Milwaukee and gone to the Miller Brewery, definitely take the tour. They give you free samples at the end. 2-4-0 Texas, 8-12-0 Yankees here in the bottom of the 8th. Here is Cody Bellinger, the left-hander. Gray is still in the game. The pitch. Changeup out and away and out of the zone. And the count is 1-0. Cody Bellinger. Gray comes set. The 1-0 pitch. Swinging strike on a changeup away at the knees. Very similar to the one he just laid off on, though it was definitely a better pitch. Time is called by the home plate umpire at the best of Bellinger, and the count is 1-1. Bottom of the 8th inning, 8-2 Yankees. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball on the outside corner, 92 miles per hour. He dotted it, and it was about knee-high. The count is 1-2 to the Yankee left fielder, who's 2 for 3 today, in addition to some really awesome defense in left. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Hit to the right side and through for a base hit. Fielding is the center fielder, and the Yankees have a leadoff single here by way of Cody Bellinger. It looks like they want to pile on some more, and nobody in the stadium is going to tell them not to. So runner on first and nobody out. It is an 8-2 Yankee lead in the bottom of the 8th. 3 for 4 today is Bellinger. Man, he absolutely raking right now. Now, here's Jose Caballero. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. This isn't Rosario. This is Caballero. Here's the pitch. Slider up and in and out of the zone. And the count is 1-0. And it's funny because the Yankee scorebug still has Caballero listed as Rosario. You wouldn't believe how inaccurate the scorebug for ES can be at times. It's almost as bad as mine. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Forcing fastball down and in, out of the zone. Very close, but Blue was certainly not impressed. Jose Caballero through 36 games, 256, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, a 711 OPS. That is why he is the Yankees starting shortstop and not Anthony Volpe. Now here's the 2-0 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball down and in on the inside corner at the knees. And the count is 2-1. Fact of the matter is, Caballero has played his way into the role. He has Wally pipped Volpe. Running around first, nobody out. It's a 2-1 count. Here's the pitch. Just missed down and in with the slider at 89 miles per hour. Little low, little in. Once again, Blue behind the plate. Not impressed, but no one's challenging it at this point. Now, come set is the righty Gray. Here's a 3-1 pitch. Swinging strike, swung right on through a four-seam fastball on the inside corner about thigh high, did Jose Caballero, and the count is now full 3-2 to the Yankee shortstop. Runner on first, nobody out, 8-2 Yankees here in the bottom of the 8th. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Jose Caballero. And if you're just joining me here on the stream, something I always like to do, if you're willing, where are you watching from right now? Where are you joining Bombers Game Mike here in the bottom of the 8th of this Yankee game? Tell me in the chat if you're feeling willing. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Tip foul off the mask of the catcher there on a 93 mile per hour four-seam fastball in on the hands, and the count remains 3-2. But yeah, if you're just joining me here, whatever the case is, or you've never enjoyed Bombers Game Mike before, get involved in the chat. Let me know where you're watching this from. I want to know. There are Yankee fans all over the world, and I hope to meet most of them. Now here's a 3-2 pitch, and it is popped up down there towards the Yankee dugout. Underneath it, right there is Berger. He makes the catch in foul territory, and that'll be the first out of the inning. So Caballero in his first at-bat there fouls out, and that will leave the Yankees with a runner on first and 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Right now, it's an 8-2 Yankees lead. They are in the catbird seat, folks, and it is not a moment too soon. They are looking to take this rubber match and close this thing out. And here's the first pitch to Jazz. Change up away, misses the plate, a little over knee high. The count is a 1-0 to Jazz Chisholm Jr. Cowboy boots, construction boots. Why are we seeing this? Yes. Here's the pitch. Strike, slider on the outside corner about thigh high to the lefty Jazz Chisholm. Counts 1-1. Yep, he's 1 for 4 with a single in the 7th. Had a weird series. He's so up and down sometimes. Despite how amazing he can be and how exciting he often is. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Changeup out and away. Misses the plate about thigh high. And the count is now 2-1. Gray is just trying to keep everything right here. At this point, this is more for his own career numbers and less about keeping Texas in the game. Now here's a 2-1 pitch. Swinging strike. Middle up. Swung right underneath that four-seam fastball did Jazz. And the count is 2-2. He seems to be missing pitches that usually he would find a way to drive. I don't know what's going on with him. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Jazz Chisholm Jr. 25 pitches so far for Gray in his outing so far. We have a runner on first, 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. 8-2 Yankees, Jazz Chisholm at the plate. It's a 2-2 count. Holding is Gray, and here's the 2-2 pitch. Foul down the third base side and out of play. Count remains 2-2. It is 2-2. Yeah. Excellent stuff here. The Yankees, like I said, they are in the catbird seat for this one. And everybody at that ballpark, minus like the 3 Ranger fans, are totally digging it. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Tapped up the middle, fielded there by Seager. He throws to first in time for the second out of the inning. However, the runner does manage actually to advance to second on that, interestingly enough. It's because Seager was basically playing behind the bag at second. Jazz hits a ground ball to the right of second base. Corey Seager goes over towards it, towards the right field side. There's no play and nobody covering first, and all he can do is go and throw Jazz out at first. He'll take the force. Now, here's Ryan McMahon. He's 1 for 2 today. And here's the pitch. Outside and away. No, he's calling that one a strike. The count is 0-1. So a runner on second, 2 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 8-2 Yankees is an 0-1 count to Ryan McMahon. He comes set. Here's the 0-1 pitch. 4-seam fastball out and away of the zone to the lefty hitting Ryan McMahon. And the count is now 1-1 to the Yankee third baseman. Gray is looking in for the sign. Bellinger is down at second with a decent lead. Now here's a 1-1 pitch. Strike, 4-seam fastball dotted right there on the outside corner, a little above the knees to the lefty McMahon. The count is 1-2. Yes, indeed. So he's back into the box. Bellinger's down there at second, 2 out. Here in the bottom of the 8th, 8-2 Yankees. It's a 1-2 count. Here's the pitch. Changeup down and away. He definitely held his swing, and that is confirmed by Blue down the third baseline. And the count is now 2-2 to the Yankee third baseman. Really wonderful seeing him come around and put together good at-bats. You just couldn't have him hitting that bad for too long. Now the 2-2 from Gray. Changeup out and away, well misses the plate. And the count is full, 3-2. Now, Gray is not exactly the most consistent arm in regards to hitting the strike zone today. I guess he's done well enough. Right now, just the Rangers are in damage control, so they don't ruin their bullpen for the weekend. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Hit up the middle and past a diving Corey Seager. Coming around is Bellinger. He will score. And the Yankees now take a 9-2 lead. Ho, 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 ho. Goodness gracious, my Guinness. Right there, Ryan McMahon putting together another quality at-bat. He is really coming around. A 2-out single that scores Bellinger from second. And the Yankees now have a 9-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. So there is another conference on the mound. And it looks like Gray kind of nicked himself on the right wrist there that drew blood. You could see the red there from the overhead cam. Obviously, the trainers for Texas are looking at it. What are we saying here, guys? What are you going to do? What's happening? Are we going to replace him? I mean, Gray just gave over the ball. And yet another pitching change for the Rangers here this afternoon. This one, of course, due to a minor injury, but in modern professional sports, especially baseball, they take virtually no risks. And that's what we're looking at here. So Gray is coming out. Let's see who they're going to bring in relief. Whoever they bring in relief will obviously have additional warm-up time, considering they're coming in relief for a player that has been injured, though albeit not a serious one. I mean, right now, the thing that's been hanging over this entire game at the moment, of course, is the status of Jason Dominguez, given how hard he crashed into the wall and was carted off. Luckily, not on a stretcher, but he was carted off. There's no question. He's probably at one of the finest hospitals in the New York City area, probably Columbia, maybe Mount Sinai. I don't quite remember, but we're still waiting for word on that. Now, if indeed he does go to the IL, especially with the injuries right now to, in this case, of course, Giancarlo Stanton and Ben Rice being what it is, you know what? Spencer Jones down in AAA, who's putting on an offensive clinic, by the way, he might get his opportunity here. And a lot of people have been talking about Spencer Jones because he's been friggin' tearing it up. And, he's a center fielder, has tremendous power to all fields. But this is his bugaboo, and that is the strikeout rate. Now, so far this season, he had a great spring training, and he's been doing amazing down in Scranton. And it would appear, based on what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've read, that strikeout rate has come down. So if we're looking at Jason Dominguez going on the shelf here, which I think is a distinct possibility, especially if they are worried about a concussion, right? They learned a serious lesson when it came to Clint Frazier, and they are not going to take any chances with, a 23-year-old with an amazing talent that could somehow derail his entire career. We might get to see Spencer Jones called up. We might get to see that. And I got to tell you, I wouldn't want to be under these circumstances. Nobody would. But it is professional sports. And right now, if you're a Yankee fan and you really are someone who follows the minor league prospects and how they're doing, and you want to leave it in the chat, I'm going to leave the question here. If the Martian goes on the IL, will they call up Spencer Jones? And I got to tell you, of all the options they have, I think they might. I think they might have to. It might be their best option, interestingly enough. Now, here's the righty Collier getting in his warm-ups, getting as many as he needs, obviously, coming in for the injured reliever. And here, once again, comes Trent Grisham. 3 for 4 today. He has been the Yankee player of the game, and there could be quite a few of them at this point, as far as I'm concerned. Cody Bellinger is another good one. And at this point, in a 9-2 lead, that 6-inning double, no doubt, will probably be the Yankee turning point of the game. That's my prediction for what they're going to make it. Here's the first pitch to Grisham. Down and in a sweeper, he manages to check his swing, and the count is 1-0 to Trent Grisham. We are here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Runner on first, 2 out, a 9-2 Yankee lead in the bottom of the 8th. Coming set is Collier. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Sweeper right down Broadway, just middle on that one. Grisham decides not to pull the trigger on that. A lot of major leaguers are so shocked when the ball ends up there. They don't almost know what to do with it. Often they don't. Now, here's the 1-1 pitch. Strike, 4-seam fastball once again, right down Broadway, middle, 96 miles per hour. And the count is 1-2 to the Yankee left-handed hitting center fielder, who has definitely been today's player of the game. And another thing I'm going to ask you here, as we are watching this at-bat unfold, if you want to leave your thought in the chat, is Trent Grisham today's player of the game? Here's the 1-2 pitch. And it is flared into center field. Right there is the center fielder battling the sun, makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. So the Yankees finally end this additional rally. And they got a right-hander up in the pen there for the ninth. So they're definitely not going to bed and are up 9-2 going into the ninth inning here. There's really no reason to do that, especially on getaway day, and just get them some rest. It's gonna be an interesting weekend, I would say, in Milwaukee. And the most notably, because I'm going to check here, but I'm fairly sure the probable for tomorrow night in Milwaukee is Misiorowski. Let's see. All right, yeah, let's see what we got. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That is absolutely ridiculous right-handed pitcher. This guy right here, 24 years old. He's 6'7". He's 201 pounds. 7 games. He's a 2.2 record with a 2.84 ERA with 38 innings pitched and 59 strikeouts and a whip of exactly 1. Thank God Max Fried is on the hill for the Yankees in that one. Goodness. No, that stuff is nasty. I think in his last start, he managed to whip off a 98-mile-per-hour slider. All right, that's video game stuff. That's video game stuff right there. You know, there's no other way to put it. And it's kind of hilarious when you watch it because the guy is almost a cartoon character in his own way. And, you know, it's funny. Even before he was on the Yankees, and certainly not when he was slaying them, you know, Randy Johnson is always one of my favorite pitchers to watch. And I remember back in the mid-'90s, my dad was seeing first time. You know, he's not a huge sports fan. Camilo Doval is on the hill for the Yankees to close this one out in the 9th. He has a 6.23 ERA in 13 innings. 3 walks, 15 strikeouts. Batters are batting .216 against him, so clearly they hit it hard. But he is going to be here and try and close it out for the Bombers. But no, Misiorowski. You know, both he and Randy Johnson, as my dad was saying in the mid-'90s, like, God, that Randy Johnson, he always called him, who's that cartoon character that pitches for Seattle? Because when you think about him at that time with the wild hair and the exuberance on the mound and then just the fact that he was so big. Here's the first pitch. Strike, cutter on the outside corner, down and away at the knees, and the count is 0-1 to Jansen. Coming set is Doval, showing nearly his back to the pitcher. Here's the pitch. Inside a slider, down and in, out of the zone to the righty Jansen. Correction. He basically, in his windup, is mostly showing his back to the batter. He sits to the far first base side of the rubber. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Strike, slider on the inside corner at the knees. The count is 1-2. And he's basically at a 45-degree angle with his back towards the plate. You mostly just see his 75. He's almost like a half Kevin Brown. Now, here's a 1-2 pitch. Foul back and out of play. A 101-mile-per-hour cutter. Wow. And, yep, Jacob Misiorowski. They're shown tomorrow's probables there on yes. I can only imagine what Girardi and Kay have to say about that. I think they're as astonished as the rest of us. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Up and away, a cutter, 100 miles an hour, but out of the zone. And the count is 2-2 to Jansen. So there's no question that Duvall has some serious stuff. But stuff ain't nothing if you can't put it in the strike zone or put it where you want. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Foul backing out of play. 87-mile-per-hour slider. But yeah, Misiorowski, holy crap, that 98-mile-per-hour slider down and in on a lefty. He didn't even realize he had done it until one of the reporters told him about it and ultimately in the, in the post-game in the clubhouse. Here's the pitch. Hit on down the right field side, giving chase there is Schumer. And it is well into the stands. And the count is 2-2. So it's right now it is a largely a quiet one because the Yankees have made it a quiet one. But who is your player of the game, folks? I mean, for me, it's definitely Trent Grisham. Who else could it be? Here's a 2-2. Hit to the left field side and play by Caballero in short left. Throws to first. And Goldschmidt cannot pick it on the hop. Had he done so, it would have been an incredible play by Jose Caballero. And in fairness to Goldschmidt, he makes that pick on the throw about 99 times out of 100. And honestly, you know what? He may have beaten it to the bag anyway, looking there on the replay. So, Runner on first, nobody out. 9-2 Yankees here in the top of the ninth. Here's Haggerty in the pitch. Chopped down the first base side. Out of play. Count is 0-1. And you know what? I mean, it wasn't a great throw, honestly. And even if he had picked it, the runner would have beat him anyway. So there's nothing to belabor on that one. Runner on first, nobody out. Haggerty, the left-handed hitter at the plate. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging slider right over the top of that one, down and in from Doval. And the count is quickly 0-2 to Haggerty, who's 0-for-1 with a ground out in the seventh. He's currently playing left field. He's currently batting 172. Now here's the 0-2 pitch. Grounded to the right side, fielded by Jazz Chisholm. He throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. He didn't go to second for the force. It was hit too lightly for him to be able to make that play. He goes for the sure thing, and now the Rangers have a runner on second with one out here in the top of the ninth. And here is Brandon Nimmo, who is 1-for-4, the leadoff hitter, who's also their DH today. 9-2 Yankees, top of the ninth, runner on second and one out. Here's the first pitch to Nimmo. Cutter out and away, 99 miles per hour to the lefty Nimmo. The count is 1-0 to Brandon Nimmo, the former Met. Coming set is Doval. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Out and away, a cutter 100 miles an hour, but not nearly close to the zone. The count is 2-0. I'm as impressed as anybody with a 100-mile-per-hour cutter. But you got to throw it for a quality strike, or what else does it mean? That just means you're a thrower. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Hit to the left field side and past a diving Ryan McMahon. Fielded there by Bellinger. Going to third is the runner. And now the Rangers have runners on first and third and one out here in the top of the ninth inning. They are putting together a little bit of late thunder, but they are currently down 7 runs. We'll see what happens. It was just past the outstretched glove of Ryan McMahon, and if he can't make that play, basically nobody does. Now, here is the second baseman, Duran. 1-for-2 with a pair of walks and a solo home run with 2 RBIs. Hitting .308 with 2 home runs and 13 RBIs on the season. This dude has been just such a thorn in the side of the Yankees in this series. Coming set is Doval. The first pitch to Duran, fouled straight back behind the plate. And the count is 0-1. Yeah, let's put it this way. If it gets past Ryan McMahon, there really isn't too many other people that are going to possibly make that play. That's his big strength. He's the defensive wizard at third. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging strike on a slider well far and away, actually out over the left-hand hitter's batter's box. And Duran just absolutely whiffs around that thing. And the count is now 0-2 to the Rangers second baseman, who's just been a total pain in the side of the Yankees. Now, here's the 0-2 pitch, and it goes nearly a wild pitch, and it is absolutely saved there by J.C. Escarra in basically an all-world play, making sure that thing doesn't go all the way to the freaking backstop. Obviously a ball, and the count is 1-2. Nope, that's not the one we're looking for, Paul. There we go. 1-2 with one out. Runners on first and third. And here's the pitch. Slider up and in to Duran. And the count is now 2-2. And the one thing that pisses you off watching Doval, he isn't pitching right now. He is throwing right now. His control is all over the place. It's really frustrating to watch, actually. Here's the 2-2 to Duran. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Duran, really for the first time ever, it seems. And that'll be the second out of the inning. So as bad at bat pitching-wise as that was for Doval, Christ's sake, it was even worse. It was even worse for Duran. So we got 2 outs here in the top of the ninth, and here's the first pitch to Seager. Cutter out and away to the lefty Seager. And the count is 1-0. Runner on first and second, 2 out here in the top of the ninth. 9-2 Yankees. It's a 1-0 count to Corey Seager. Here's the 1-0. Chop foul and out of play towards the Yankee on deck circle. And the count is a 1-1. 21 pitches for Doval so far in this outing. He's not been terribly impressive. In fact, in that at-bat with Duran, it just was because Duran just happened to be a little worse on that occasion than Doval was. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Sinker out and away over the right-handed hitting batter's box. Not even remotely tempted was Seager, and the count is 2-1. But the Yankees are indeed 1 out away here on the rubber match in this third game of 3. Here's the 2-1. Hit to center field. Going back is Trent Grisham, tracking it down in center, and he makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. And the Yankees win it 9-2 in the Bronx on getaway day. They take the series against the Texas Rangers as they head on the road to Milwaukee. Oh, this one was fun to watch. This one was fun to call. 9-2 Yankees in the Bronx. They get right back up on the horse. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's the victory tune here. 2-6-0 Texas, 9-14-0 the Bombers. So they take 2 out of 3 here in the Bronx. They absolutely shut off their performance from last night. The pitching really comes through for an emergency opener situation where, amazingly, they get really quality pitching each time they pass the baton. And then, of course, they keep it close. 2-1, we're going into the bottom of the 8th, and that is absolutely where the Yankees break it open. And Texas showed very little life after that one. And for me, the player of the game has to be Trent Grisham. I would have to say the turning point of the game was the bottom of the 6th inning with Trent Grisham's bases clearing stand-up double, which put the Yankees ahead 4-2, and they never looked back after that. And, of course, if you're a listener of WFAN, especially when you're looking at the guys in the midday with Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber, they're always talking about and trying to guess what the turning point of the game is for the Yankees. And in this one, it's just crystal clear. It's the bases clearing double in the bottom of the 6th by Trent Grisham. It made it 4-2. And there just wasn't any fight in Texas after that. And on top of that, man, this emergency starter situation, the Yankee bullpen comes through in amazing form. Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, 9-2 Bombers is the final. Tomorrow night, the Yankees are playing in Milwaukee. And let's get ourselves this game time, because naturally they will be in the central time zone for that one. And it looks to be game time here in the eastern time zone is a 7:40 first pitch for the Bombers. Max Fried on the bump for the Yankees. And Misiorowski on the hill for the Brewers. You don't want to miss that one, folks. And I hope to be here for the call on that one. If indeed I am, it'll be around 7:30, 7:35. I don't do a big pregame. I'm here for the game. So 9-2 is the final. The Yankees get the series win and hit the road in Milwaukee. I'm Paul D. It's been 9-2 Bombers. And let's play us out. A little bit of the victory tunes right here on Bombers Game Mic. Bombers Game Mic, over and out.